In the early 1900s, British colonizers tried to solve a disturbing problem in Delhi, India. Venomous cobras were everywhere. Their bites were often fatal, with over 20,000 deaths recorded across India each year. To deal with this hazard, the British authorities announced that there would be a reward for every dead cobra they received. The Indian locals raced out into the streets, tracking down cobras, killing them, and turning in their bodies. The plan worked, until it didn't. It wasn't long until cobras were seen as a valuable item. Locals began breeding cobras, just to kill them to claim the reward for turning them in. Cobra breeding became a profitable business. The British government was confused because the amount of dead snakes kept rising. After a few years, they caught on to what was going on, and stopped offering the reward. Suddenly cobras were worth nothing, so breeders set them free. Once again, the streets slithered and hissed. It is even said that the problem was worse than before the government intervened in the first place. This story coined the term Cobra effect, which refers to a situation where good intentions lead to bad outcomes through misguided incentives. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but the engineer of that road was a bad incentive. Lao Tzu, the legendary founder of Taoism, wrote, "The more rules and regulations, the poorer people become. The sharper men's weapons, the more trouble in the land. The more clever the scheme, the stranger the outcome." End quote. Everyone has good intentions, or at least everyone claims to have good intentions, but oftentimes the results are completely at odds with those intentions. It's almost like the more we intervene, the worse things can get. Intentions are easy to get right. We say we want to fix a problem, or help those in need, or improve a system, but incentives are not so cut and dry. A poorly thought out incentive can lead to a tremendous amount of energy to be spent moving in the wrong direction. Another example to illustrate this point comes from Vietnam. At the end of the 19th century, Hanoi was plagued by rats. The French colonial government created a bounty program which paid citizens a small amount of money for each rat they killed. Given the health risks, the colonial government didn't want piles of rat corpses to be handed over to officials, so they opted to pay locals for every rat tail they handed over instead. Can you foresee what happened next? Rat tails became the center of a booming industry. Vietnamese locals realized they didn't have to kill the rodents. All they needed to do was catch a rat, cut off its tail, release it, and cash in. This way, the rats could even breed again, producing more valuable rat tails. Needless to say, the bounty failed to achieve its desired outcome, worsening the rat plague rather than solving it. The French government's plan failed for reasons similar to the Cobra effect, but their approach also shines a light on a critical aspect of incentives: how success is measured. This brings us to Goodhart's Law, an adage named after British economist Charles Goodhart. It states that when a measure becomes the target, it ceases to be a good measure. In our example, the intention was to reduce the rat population by way of citizens killing them for money. Rat tails were determined as the measure of the number of rats killed, and determined how much money people could earn. As a result, the measure became the people's goal, and rat tails became an object of value overnight. Citizens optimized to get more rewards, rather than reducing the number of rats. In hindsight, the consequences seem obvious again. The reward was attached to a problem, so more problem equaled more reward. Now let's look at a different example that shows us what happens when an incentive is not clearly defined. In the Soviet Union in the early 20th century, nails were in high demand, but the Soviet Union did not have a market economy. All production was centrally planned. In order to increase production, the government tried to incentivize nail factory workers. First, the government offered to reward workers by quantity. The more nails they produced, the more they earned. This led workers to use their limited steel resources to make as many small nails as possible. So the government shifted their incentive structure, now measuring the output by weight and rewarding workers accordingly. Unfortunately, this also proved counterproductive, as the factory started making fewer but insanely large and heavy nails. The factory workers adapted their behavior to increase their reward rather than act in the spirit of the incentive structure. The incentive, to meet quotas, did not match the true goal, to satisfy consumer needs. When quotas are the target, quality always gets sacrificed, and what we end up with is flimsy, useless junk. What all three of these examples tell us is that humans act in their own self-interest. Incentive systems are often targeted across large populations to achieve a common good, but individuals will always prioritize themselves over the collective. Yes, cobras are dangerous, but I need to eat and feed my family. Yes, rats carry plagues, but I need a roof over my head. A centralized government authority does not need to incentivize me to take care of my own home, because that's my home, and the impact of not taking care of my home directly affects me. It is in my own self-interest to take care of my home. But how do you get people to care about large group efforts? How do you encourage them to act in a manner that achieves a common good? First, an incentive structure must be based around outcomes, not inputs. If the input is rewarded, then the problem becomes a source of revenue. So instead of paying per dead snake, the British colonists could have rewarded communities for measurable reductions in cobra sightings or bites over time. This shifts the goal from producing snake carcasses to actually reducing the population. Instead of paying per rat tail, the French colonists could have rewarded neighborhoods or households for measurable reductions in rat populations. Fewer burrows, fewer sightings, plague cases declining. This aligns the incentive with the actual goal. Fewer rats, not just tails. Instead of rewarding nails by the amount of weight, reward by the number of nails that pass a stress test or meet a clearly defined standard. This would ensure that the nails actually serve their purpose. Free market economies do this naturally. Customers don't buy nails based on weight. They buy nails that actually work. Unfortunately, input-based incentive structures are everywhere in our society. The pharmaceutical companies make money when they medicate sick people, so sickness has become lucrative. A patient cured is a customer lost. This is not to say that the entire healthcare industry is evil, but the incentives are perverted. Anytime you have profit attached to a problem, a great deal of energy and intelligence will be directed towards keeping the problem going and growing. This is what we call an industrial complex. Look at all the major issues America faces: crime, war, drugs, illness, poverty, racism. Each one of these has become its own industrial complex. Prisons profit off arrests. Drug companies profit off chronic illness and prescriptions. Banks profit off people in debt. Defense contractors profit off war. DEI programs profit off injustice. Homeless nonprofits benefit from more homelessness. Maybe it's time to focus less on the intentions of these so-called do-gooders and focus more on the results they produce. Carl Jung famously said, "If you cannot understand why someone did something, look at the consequences and infer the motivation." One good way to stifle the emergence of an industrial complex is to introduce time limits on the people designated to solve the problem. Time limits prevent problems from becoming endless wells of money to draw from. Without deadlines, the very program designed to solve a problem eventually mutates into a parasite, one that is invested in keeping the problem going, so it can keep feeding. Perhaps the British would have been successful in reducing the cobra population if they only offered the reward for 1 year. This way, there wouldn't be enough time or reason to set up cobra breeding factories. Now, before this video makes you too cynical, I'd like to give you one example of an incentive structure that actually did some good. In the mid-20th century, beverage companies moved from reusable glass bottles to cheap single-use containers. Customers had no reason to return them, so people threw them out. Litter piled up, and cities were overwhelmed by waste. States like Oregon in 1971 introduced the bottle bill, a deposit return system. Instead of simply asking people to do the right thing, they created a small cash incentive. Pay 5 or 10 cents extra when you buy a drink, and get it back when you return the bottle or can. Redemption rates soared. In Oregon, over 80% return rate. Litter decreased dramatically, and recycling became financially self-sustaining. The incentive flipped from, "It's easier to throw this away," to, "I get money if I return this." Another important thing to note is that good incentives give people skin in the game. Workers are best motivated when they get to experience the fruits of their labor. People tend to game the system when they don't have to suffer the consequences of their actions. A good incentive must also be flexible. It's like running an experiment. If it's not working, it must be tweaked and updated. The world is infinitely complex. It's hard to know what will be the second and third order effects of our initial assumptions. Even the best incentive structures eventually run into the limits of human nature. That's where culture comes in, the invisible force that guides behavior even when no reward is on the table. A good culture is one where people care about the long-term outcomes, where people feel valued, challenged, and connected to a purpose greater than themselves. This is why founders and CEOs act like cult leaders, constantly emphasizing culture every chance they get. If you have a strong culture, incentives are barely necessary. When you don't have a strong culture, you end up in a situation in which the individual's interests are disconnected from the group's, and incentive structures have to account for an endless amount of loopholes. If you find yourself in such a cynical position, what else is there to do except outgame your own reward system? As Mark Twain put it, the best way to increase wolves in America, rabbits in Australia, and snakes in India is to pay a bounty for their scalps. Then, every patriot goes to raising them. Our civilization seems to get more insane with every passing day. The mainstream media is a major cause of this insanity, because their entire business model is based around selling narratives and pushing propaganda. This is why I use Ground News, which is the sponsor of today's video. They've been endorsed by the Nobel Peace Center recently as an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. For example, this story on the first ever Olympic Games for humanoid robots just happened in Beijing, China. I can see that over 200 sources covered this story, and it's a fairly even distribution between the right, left, and center. However, the left focused on the cutting-edge technology and how this is the future of sports, while the right was much more focused on the strangeness of the event and how the
Are you crying? Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in foosball.
You fucking cried after 3 days in the fucking holding tank. Looked like a fucking pile of wet rags at court. You should see how I showed up to court after 3 days in the box with the light on.
Please, is there anything I can do, sir? Please.
Does he look like a bitch? What?
Don't do this to my wife, man. You don't know what you're doing to my family, man.
Does he look like a bitch?
Please, sir, please don't make me sleep in jail tonight, sir, please. I'm begging.
We're not criminals.
They're gonna make me sleep in jail.
Continue. You were saying something about best intentions?
Josh has never been arrested for recording.
Okay, so that's him getting arrested, and then his friend here makes a phone call that I want to touch on.
$1796, so we're going back a ways, and you know how stupid people were back then and how smart everyone is now. I mean, that's clear. The majority, quote, shall prevail is a rule posterior to the formation of government and results from it. It is not a rule binding upon mankind in their natural state. There, every man is independent of all laws, except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow man without his consent. Holy crap. Holy cows, man. Imagine that concept.
God damn it.
Huh? Yeah, well, you could just step back from it and imagine just one generation after the next incarnating here, you know, the pure conscious and awareness that we call the Holy Spirit, just kind of, you know, reduced down to what seems to be an individual state, and it's just one crop after the next. They come here, they focus on all the crap and the ways of the world, you know, they're a part of all the things that the system wants them to be a part of, and they just stay away from all that other stuff the system tells them not to be a part of, including upholding rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, and being a whacked out sovereign citizen, right? And it just happens to work perfectly, but not so much anymore, because folks like myself are talking common sense from a common core energetic position that kind of is somewhat relatable to all people at this time, more and more as we experience as well. So we're on divine timing here, right? Everything is as it should be. It's perfect in its imperfection. And as we move forward, more and more folks will realize, oh, that's the reason that we incarnate in this realm and what we're actually doing here. It wasn't all the side quests, right? It's just like a video game. You got the main missions and then you got side quests. How many folks buy Grand Theft Auto or whatever the games are where they have the open world, and instead of going on the mission to complete the game or develop their character attributes, spend time at the strip club in the game, right? Fucking the hooker only to kill her and throw her in the trunk because it's interesting, we want to see what's going to happen, it's cool, you know? So that's the metaphor in a way. That's the allegory of what we have going on here. We have an open world simulation, there's main missions that are programmed into the game, and then there's side quests and fuck off time. And most folks never take on the main missions because they spend their whole time side questing and fucking off. Most of the audience and most people are not going to come here to watch and listen because they're going to have to do some fucking work, and they're lazy, procrastinating, cowardly slaves. That's most of the audience of the United States corporation, if you haven't noticed. So they're always going to water seeks its own level, right? So that's one way of putting it forth that we would buy into and would make sense. In a way, what you would have to say is, I'm too good or I'm too real. I'm too focused on what's important and what's meant to happen that most don't want to focus on or activate for, right? The people who are ahead of their time, who are doing what needs to be done, who are sacrificing to put themselves and their life on the line to get it done and having results, they're not going to be propped up. They're not going to be as well known. Maybe once they die a couple hundred years after that, someone will take some more notice, right? The flock, the masses, the Babylonians tend to stay in their cults. Greetings, folks. We're back at it. I almost missed it today. I've been so focused on just getting away from all this stuff, you know, getting back to my center and on the ground and, you know, working with people over here and, you know, getting some sunlight. We put in a full day yesterday. It's like, work? What is that? It's been so long since I've put in a full 8-hour day, you know. Look at me. I'm like the Charlie Kirk of the back channels of YouTube. Without the bullet so far. Allegedly. So we're thankful and grateful. We're blessed to be here. Feeling decent. Still having some pains and some issues, but I'm having faith. You know that. Moving forward. Eating right. Getting some exercise. And I have faith that over time things will heal and repair themselves. The pain will be less and less. But I'm manifesting. I'm holding out faith and hope, so to speak. Donald Trump is yo daddy. Call in now, 602-730-0122. I started a movement, another one. Hashtag Massa. Right? That's how you pronounce it. Massa. And it's Make America Slaved Again, right? Because this whole Make America Great Again thing is just ridiculous on every level. And I like the idea of massa, slave, and it's more accurate. It's more in line with what's actually happening, regardless of what all the intellectuals on Facebook are writing. Speaking of which, let's go right into it because this is germane. No, M. Davis, not your cousin. He's down there. It's my African American. Nobody knows more about African Americans than I do. Little hacky racial humor right off the bat. We can handle it. We're all one race here. It's not a real thing. Lisa, I won't give the last name, but Lisa from Facebook. She had an opinion. So many have. I wonder where she got it from. And this is what they're typing. I'm going to read to you in exchange. So we have gold hits all-time high. Silver hits all-time high. Gas will drop to $2. Cuts to Democrat programs. This is horrible grammar. It doesn't even make any sense. DC is safe again. Chicago is in the works. Portland is in the works. New York and Minnesota next. Peace in the Middle East, but nothing is happening. So according to Lisa and others, Donnie's not getting enough credit. We're not caught up and whipped up in the patriotism, what I consider to be the false patriotism. We all have TDS because we're not willing to deny our own experience and reality. So of course I wrote in response to that, meetings with Billy Gates, $70 billion deal with Pfizer, the 11th booster coming out this week that according to sources, whether they're lying or not is up to you. You make the call, right? You look it up. You keep me honest. But 11th booster this week, previous lockdowns, we were all there for that, right? A censored pedo list and making Israel your daddy, but nothing's happening. What did she, and again, my usual sarcastic, sardonic ways, what did she say or write in response to that? Optics, my friend. None of that happened. Okay. So none of that happened. It's not real. The lockdowns didn't happen. These are not the droids you're looking for, even though we were all there. Donnie didn't lock everyone down using statute, policy, and code and legalism, which is the core problem of all this crap, is statism and fascism. By definition, doesn't matter who or what side is doing it. Okay, so it's hard to get that across to these people, hard for them to figure that out. This didn't just start 4 years ago. We did the George Bush, we did the Billy Clinton, we did the Barry Soetoro shuffle, right? We did the Georgie boy and Georgie boy's daddy. This goes back a long way. We've been doing two sides of the same coin for a long time. Nothing's changing. Everything's getting worse because precisely what the intro outlined. This is a Cobra scenario. so to speak. And that's kind of pun intended, right? Cobra being part of the old cartoons. It's like the 10-headed snake that is inhabited by some kind of spirit or force that convinces everybody to be a part of this nonsense while everything gets worse, right? When there's a whole other reality just off to the left that nobody wants to look at because, you know, you'd be a dumb terrorist sovereign citizen to look at that, says the same people doing the Cobra game. So, she responded to my sarcasm with they, and of course it's the Democrats, has to be the Democrats, those darn Democrats. We would have had rights, freedom, principles, and spiritual faith if it wasn't for Scooby-Doo and that band of Democrats. They wanted to lock us down for 10 plus years while they worked on a jab, and then those who refused would be put in camps. Many more lives would have been lost that way. So she's spinning it now to where Donnie was the savior. We would have all went to camps and been dealt with, like another Holocaust. If it wasn't for Donnie stepping in and playing 5D chess by encouraging everybody to get shots and locking down small business. Are you starting to see why I'm a bit sarcastic and sardonic at times? Why I come here and I wring my hands and I just call the majority of the audience fucking status fascist slaves. It's a bit over the top, you know, it's for effect at times, but it ain't wrong. All you got to do is just go to my Facebook, right? Maybe that's what it is. I need to stay off Slavebook, and then I can greet this audience with a different presentment. You know, the Unslavians are different. Maybe that's what I want to believe. You know, much like a proud, loving father that I am, or I play one online. You know, I love my Unslavian. We love you. I love you. Yeah, but I do go off here from time to time. And this is why. It's because of Lisa. Okay. So when I go off here, just blame Lisa. All right, let's finish up here. What does Lisa continue to say? I almost completely checked out. Oh, yeah. More lives lost that way. Think what you want, but he had to be very strategic to avoid uprising from the sleepers. Even if that meant people like you hating him for it, the plan was far worse and it was thwarted, and we always had a choice. So Lisa, now I'll just give my responses and then her responses, and then I'll circle back and do my monologue. So I responded to Lisa, if you want to bullshit yourself, I can't stop you. You're not going to convince me I didn't witness both sides being part of the same things over and over. This is embarrassing. Lisa responds with, an uninformed witness is what you were/are. So in Lisa's world, and in all the rest of the Q-tard world, she's informed. She's up on what's going on. I'm lacking in the intel and the intelligence and the common sense to decide for myself and others what's actually happening in reality. No, Lisa, you are a status fascist duped out tard. You are a broken hoe, so to speak, and you and many others are being pimped on 10 ways to Sunday. And Donnie's just one of your pimps, okay? He's not a white hat. He's not stopping anything. He's not saving anyone. He's going along with it to get along. He's profiteering from it. And you folks are making fucking excuses again. And that's why today's broadcast is, drumroll please, Republicans are just Democrats pretending to be different. There's not a hair's breadth of difference between either side. You're both status fascist collectivists. You both cheer for slave tax on everybody's work and labor, okay, which is the definition of slavery. You both are involved in a fraudulent contract scheme from a foreign corporation that's located itself on the District of Columbia, which isn't even a unionized state, which ratified a constitution years after the original, okay? You are the duped out, slaved out. By definition, go to U.S. Code. What is the definition of slavery? It's when you get fraudulent contracts enforced on you. Do this or else. It's literally the same definition as terrorism. It's when you have one or more groups pushing their political ideology on the individual at the whim of do this or else, okay? And that's exactly what statism and fascism essentially is. And we've seen it from both sides. And you're not going to convince me or any of the rest of us who've started to see what this all is, that it's anything different than what I'm saying it is. Okay. You folks don't know U.S. code. You don't know the law of the land. You don't know what's in the Constitution. You don't understand dual jurisdiction. You don't understand the difference between a free republic with natural rights versus a democracy where everybody's property and movement is legislated with policy and code. Okay. That's one of the core experiences of corporatism and fascism, the merger of state and corporate powers and ruling over everybody and their property with policy and code. Go to your average suburb and watch how you can't put a fucking sign up in your yard if you want to, because you registered the property of the state and they're going to dictate what you can and can't do with it by code. Hell, if you want to install a fucking toilet by your own common sense and do your own research, they're not going to allow it. And they're going to send armed agents out to tell you, we got a list of policies and codes you got to follow. And you know what the reason always is? To keep everyone safe. And that'd be fine if it wasn't do this or else, right? Hey, we have advisory code. We want to keep everybody safe. If you're causing a direct threat to the public, then we got to step in. That's not happening the majority of the time, okay? But they're using that prerequisite standing in the Constitution and in non-law, right, in policy, statute, and code and amendments to take over people and their property and interfere with people's rights to do as they please, all under the guise of public safety clause, okay? So Lisa and others got to get their head out of their ass. By the way, Lisa and others, Donnie didn't make gold and silver go up as well as Bitcoin. Do you know what did? A failing trust in a US dollar that's not even lawful currency, that's backed by nothing, that's being printed up ad infinitum, that's causing inflation, and that's why we're in an everything bubble? Why didn't Lisa add land onto gold and silver? Is that all Lisa knows about, is what they tell her about? Land's going through the roof. Everything's going through the roof. The housing market is going through the roof. See? But you foolish slaves can't figure out what's going on because you lack the understanding and the intel. And when I try to tell you, you just check out and you say, that's sovereign citizen terroristic mumbo jumbo. No, that's world fucking history. Okay. That's an understanding of banking and economics. Okay. And that's all fraudulent and set up as well. The game is rigged. The deck is stacked. And the only way that you can win is by not playing and opting out. But while you opt out, you have to understand how it all works in order so you can make the right moves to put yourself in position to be prosperous while the rest of these people literally go to hell. Okay. And that's the definition of capitalism. True capitalism, not crony capitalism, where you cause a whole bunch of fucking problems and then you make money off not solving those problems while convincing everybody that you are, a la the Cobra simulation from the intro today, right? So again, I'm a true American. I'm a true Republican. I'm engaged in true free trade. I'm a true capitalist because I have the true understanding of what's going on here. And I'm undertaking certain goals and agendas with other people to rectify that situation within and without, and give everyone an option and opportunity to choose to do and be and have better. I'm literally doing in my little corner of YouTube on the ground what your daddy Donnie couldn't do if he wanted to do because he has no fucking balls, according to you. You just said that, Lisa and others. Donnie's got to be strategic about how he lies to the people because if not, he's going to awaken all the sleepers. Yeah, and there's your Stockholm syndrome again. Daddy's got to lie to all of us and be part of the abuse to make it look good because if not, mama's going to come in and yell at everybody. Guess what? I don't give a fuck. And if I was president, I'd give you the whole game right now, just like I am. Okay? I'd never be part of it, and they wouldn't let me because of obvious reasons that Lisa and others can't figure out. I mean, we could just go to the fact that every president except for one is related to one fucking king. Biologically, genetically. Do you think that's an accident? And they'll say, Paulie boy, if you trace it back far enough, we're all related to that one guy. Maybe so. Maybe so, and I'm missing something here. No, government's a family affair, right? So, yeah, you folks need to understand world history. You need to understand American history. You need to understand contract law, trust, equity, and faith. You need to know yourself and know God. And you need to do what's true and what's right. And stop advocating for these false prophets and false saviors, okay? So Lisa, add some stuff to the list. Get your shit together. And again, Lisa's just a reflection of a cross section of the masses, in quotes, of society and culture, legal society and culture, who believes all this crap but has no understanding and can't make it make sense. Okay, so we're in an everything bubble. They're setting us up for new world order and digitized currency and tokenization. They're setting us up for more world war and potential financial collapse. Could they possibly change their ways? Anybody can, right? Stranger things have happened in a world where it seems we're being avatared, almost played like chess pieces by two sides of what could be argued a similar force, right? Some form of conscious awareness or lack thereof. Is anybody really having their own ideas? Is anybody really big brained enough to have an idea that no one else had? Or is this place something a little bit more testing and challenging to understand or conceive of, right? Is it possible that many of these things that we're doing and being part of are just ideas whose time has come on both sides? Is it possible it's an idea whose time has come? It's just written into the code of our genetics and meant to express at this time that we be free and we have choice and we live like human beings on the land close to nature and we live self-sustainable and go backward in order to go forward. Is that my idea? Is that a bunch of preppers' ideas? Or is that a universal idea whose time has come? On the flip side, is it an idea whose time has come that if you don't want to know God and know yourself and live free and take care of yourself and form a community and do what's true and what's right, that you will be in deception, you will be deceived, and you will have your soul broken or taken from you in order to refocus you and teach you what you were meant to do here versus what you allowed here for yourself and others? I'm just asking questions. So Donnie didn't make gold and silver go up. Donnie's just another pawn in the game. And he's a perfect pawn in the game because he's a part of and doing a whole bunch of shit that you tards wouldn't have accepted if it was done by a Democrat. And that's how you know you're being gamed. And both sides do that, right? They go for a bunch of stuff they wouldn't have went for if it was the other side doing it when their person is in from their side. They're playing both sides against the middle. So with that said, let's get to the news here. If you got questions, comments, concerns, you got a video you want to send over, we have links up top with contributions and support, also email. You can go ahead and send me emails if you have anything that you want me to go over, look at, or present to the audience. Type in the link if you want to jump on the panel, non-panel, and a phone number, 602-730-0122. I can't wait to see this guy's compound get busted on the news someday. LMAO. Thank you, Leroy, for showing up and proving who and what you are and the spirit you represent that comes here to kill, steal, and destroy. I love when you folks reveal your character or lack thereof. You are another representation of a cross-section of the society, claiming that you can't wait till your fellow man has some loss, injury, or harm done to him because he chooses to not live by your collectivized version of slavery and genocide to some extent. How dare I, says the crab in the bucket, walk away from all the discord, the chaos, the confusion, the complete dysfunction and disempowerment? How dare I come out of her, my people, like the Christed being said over 2,000 years ago, a prophet, not the only son of God, according to his words, a prophet to reveal the prophetic message and the prophetic experience of what unification with the God force is. Really, just locally, we could call it conscience. So thank you for revealing that if a man chooses to decide to follow his localized conscience or non-localized conscience, do what he believes is true and what's right, live free as America was supposed to be, you and others are looking forward to the day where they do loss, injury, and harm on me. Thank you, Leroy. I already know that. It's nothing new. I started a broadcast, and boy, was a lot revealed. Okay? I would say that I look forward to the day where your reality, non-reality, comes crashing in on you, and the same thing you wished for me happens to you, and you realize there is no cooperating with this thing. Okay, you got to set your marker and enforce it, right? I would say that, but I'm not like you. I don't wish harm on my fellow man or woman because I don't agree with them, right? So you have hate in your heart. is the bottom line. You don't know true love and true care. You don't know true freedom. All you know is division, control, illegitimate control, and hate, while you lack control over yourself and the future for yourself and your children. Okay. So if I do wind up, which we're working more and more each day, the well driller says we found a property that's drillable. We're going to go from there. Another person came forward with value to put in. So if you want to phrase it as a compound, because I've decided to get together with community and get land and live off of it and not breathe poison air and drink poison water and eat poison food, you're free to do so, right? Wish all the worst on me, while literally the worst happens to you, because you don't understand true leadership, right? I'm a leader in my own right, in my own lane. The only way that I could be chosen as a leader is if I chose to walk with God and to follow my conscience, okay? And do what you and others are not going to do, because you know what the core of it is? See, you revealed yourself and you don't even know it. You know what the core of it is, what you just said? You're a punk fucking coward who's afraid to walk away and leave it all behind and do better for yourself, because what are they going to say about me? And what are they going to have done to me? Newsflash, I don't give a fuck. Can't. I can care, but I can't give a fuck. Because if I did, it would allow hateful, divided, disempowered slaves like you to have more power over me than I have over myself, than even God has over me. Okay? And I won't let that happen at this point. It's not the will of the Creator for me, and it's not my will either. So thank you for being here. I will continue to love you to the best of my ability, whatever capacity that I can muster, while you continue to hate on me and what I'm doing, even though what I'm doing is in your best interest. And that's why online, I'm your fucking daddy, and you're still a broken child who has to resolve and reconcile. I think we got to everything there. Leroy is a classic watcher, waiter, hater. Yes, they always show up the same way. They always have the same lifestyles. They always have the same retorts from the retards. And they always think that they're cute and funny and clever, and they're not. They're pathetic and embarrassing. Okay. And they're always reaching for a cope. They're always projecting onto me and reaching for a cope. Isn't that special? I actually love this silly guy. Well, I know that. Beyond your hateful veneer and your cope session, at your core, while you wait for something bad to happen to me because you're a coward who won't take the next steps, I know you love me. And I know you know I'm right. And I know that you need what I'm doing or what I have to offer, but you're too much of a coward to really confront with that and sit with that and try to understand that and be part of it. That's okay. Because see, we're on God's timing, not mine or yours. And the more you sit around here, if I allow you to be around here, and you listen to me and what I'm saying, and you look at what I'm showing, you're going to get with the fucking program. Because God is great. This truth is great. And man can be great if it can resolve and reconcile. And that's the process. That's the timeline we're on right now, if you haven't noticed. So please understand the word audience at its root means to listen. It doesn't require you typing and talking. If you want to type and talk, feel free to ask questions and actually get to know me or what I'm doing and try to understand it. If not, I will throw you the fuck out of here in 3 seconds, and then you can actually become part of the audience in the purest form by watching and listening and not being distracted by your own need to project and reject and live in denial and cope it out, right? I can play off of it. I can kill 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes with it, but I don't need it. I already have a broadcast flowing through my veins. I already have a bunch of material up there. I have other things to get to. Right. So I'm here for you if you're here for yourself. God helps those who help themselves. God of all media helps those who help themselves. If not, you're an impediment to what I'm here to do, if I let you be. Okay. So please understand that. What God are you talking about? Again, I'm not going to name anything. I don't claim that the force of creation is nameable. It's not even really knowable beyond a certain point. We know what it does. We can watch it work on us and each other and with us and each other. But I'm not one of the religionists who's part of a cult. I can't claim to know the face and the name of God or what he or she is, right? It. Don't know any of that. Don't need to know any of that. I've already seen enough. I know how it works, and that's good enough, at least for me. So, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. All right, I'm going to go over my chat box here. Where's your boyfriend? I don't know what that means. That was cute and clever, though, of course. Republicans are indeed just Democrats. Both sides are bought out by Israel. No, it's not Israel, sir. There's something behind everything that you say is behind the something you focus on, if that makes sense to you. Okay? So it's not U.S. corporation. It's not the state of Israel. There are people behind that, and there's people behind those people, and there's a spirit behind everyone. Okay? So please go refer back to your World Head of Freemasonry documents where Albert Pike back in the 1850s admitted that Lucifer is the god that they serve. Okay. And that's part of what deceived them and turned them into free builders. Well, excuse me, went from free builders, Freemasons, to controllers and dominators and deceivers and dividers in order to conquer. And that's how every endeavor goes, if you haven't noticed. Starts off great, honorable, good faith with good intentions, ends up completely dysfunctional, disempowered, hungry for power and money and control, and unable to resolve or reconcile in truth, in honor, in faith. Just like the Cobra intro we went over today. Okay? Just like today, you can see the algorithm struggling to get above a certain point. It's almost as if something is resisting it. It's almost as if my numbers are fighting something. You just watch them. Just keep an eye on the numbers from time to time, right? The intro was a perfect example. Start to get to a certain point, and then it just gets cut into a third, right? And then it blasts back up again, and it gets cut down again, okay? So those are your dark masons who started off just like me, wanting to build something, wanting to be free, and turned into what we have now. Vaxxers, slavers, profiteers, Babylonians. Got to keep Paulie Boy and this truth away from the masses because they're going to affect our bottom line. Okay? It's all right there. You can look at any one moment and see the whole of creation in that person or in that moment. That's how a holographic reflective simulation works. Okay? For all you scientists studying quantum physics. This has all been understood and known about from the beginning of time, with or without the scientism. Okay, I'm going over my chatters here. Questions, comments, concerns, it's all there. I don't hide, that's for sure. Just participating in a very limited capacity, still fighting for our living property. I don't deny that. I'm not accusing you of anything. If it fits, great. If not, then it doesn't. Oh, Lord, that is demented. Don't know what you mean. Neutral ground, SNL. Please come on up and interact with me. Give me some more details here if you're talking about me and what I'm saying. Okay, so neutral ground is on the same page as me. That's why I don't want to jump to conclusions. They're basically saying it's been over a decade for some people, gobbling down the crazy Q shit. Yeah, they're not going to stop. They love it deep in their throat is really what it is. They can't get enough. Give me more daddy. They cry out with one voice, just like they did in the time of the Christed being, right? The Christed being came here to said, stop being a statist, stop being a fascist. You can't worship two masters. Go with God. Come out of her, my people. Stop following these people and doing what they say. And you know what they said? Fuck you, Jesus Cristo, Mexican national. We got better plans here. We're going to do business as usual, right? And they proverbially, metaphorically, killed the Christ, which can't actually be killed. All you can kill is the container. And then the Christed energy or consciousness was resurrected, as it always is, because it's not going anywhere. See, the eternal truth, life, and way has always been here, will always be here, and it works through men and women from time to time. Will you recognize that greatness and go with it and know it's not about turning me or anyone else here into your idol to worship? This is about fellowship, not worship. Okay, so the same thing that's in me is in you. If you would look and seek to understand, seek the truth, and you will be set free. If not, you will be a sacrifice for the convenient lie, statism, fascism, collectivism. There's only so many different ways to say Satanism, if you really want to look at it, because at the core of all these isms is one ism, Shatanism, the deception that comes to kill, steal, destroy, and divide through lack of understanding, resolution, and reconciliation. And repentance, of course. We are treated guilty right off the bat. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to hold your hand here. If it fits, then it fits. If it doesn't, let it go. I'm not God. I don't get to judge you folks. You are on a walk with yourselves. I am just providing some entertaining, reflective content, non-tent for us all to question ourselves and each other on what we're doing and being. I don't believe in a God. I didn't ask. Okay. Did not ask you or anyone else what you believe. I'm telling you what I know for me and what I've experienced in my life that at one time I never could have believed either. And while it doesn't make sense to my logical, rational mind, who am I to presume that what's been shown isn't real because I can't understand it completely? See, that's a lack of honor and faith. Okay. And by the way, it doesn't begin or end with God. Would you like to go to something that man doesn't understand? We'll start with woo man. Notice that in the proverbs, right, or in the cliches, is a glaring understanding that comes forth. There's a reason why dog is known as man's best friend and not woo man as man's best friend. We don't even understand the opposite fucking sex, which isn't so opposite. It's an opposame, is what I call it. Word that I've coined here. Okay. The fence belongs to the devil, right? This being talked about, a cliche brought up the other day. Okay? And Paulie cliche here at times, right? So there's an old tale about a man who sat on the fence because God was on one side and the devil was on the other side. And by the end of the tale, the devil revealed to him that the fence belongs to him. Okay, so there's no fence sitting here. Another proverb I like, okay, is sometimes a man has to put the welcome mat over the clothesline and beat it to get the dust off of it. He's not beating it because he hates it or is angry with it. He's beating it to get the dust off of it. See if you can try to sit with that and understand what I'm saying and how that works here, especially with me and how I present. You sound like a black man eating spaghetti with a spoon on a Tuesday night. Don't know what that means. I'll take that as a compliment. Black people are usually very strong. They're empowered in their own way. They may be dysfunctional, like are all ethnicities who engage in collectivized culture and society. They've been deceived. They destroy themselves and each other, and they claim that they're winning, right? That's a common theme for everybody. But thank you for pointing out that I have soul, which is how I'm taking it, right? See? So that's what I'm getting from it. You're basically saying I have soul, I have spirit, potentially I have large genitalia, okay? And I got some rhythm and some flow to me. Thank you for pointing that out. Many have said that. And again, it wouldn't have been complete in the holographic simulation reflection if we didn't come here today and someone didn't give us the, what is it? Are you an albino treatment, right? Or project onto me that I'm African American when I'm Irish and Italian, as far as I know, as far as I understand, right? Really, what's the difference? If you trace it all back far enough, it all goes back to Latin culture, you know, the lands of the Latin lands, and those all go back to Africa, right? So, hey, well, I guess there's a joke in there somewhere, but I was going to say, I got some black in me. Don't tell Rob Cleveland. Wow, you waste a lot of good words on those who refuse to comprehend them. You're absolutely right. Just make sure you're not one of them. That's all you got to do. Focus on yourself and what you're doing and not doing, what you're understanding and not, what you're creating and not. You're only talking about American blacks out of respect. Okay, we can do that. I'll accept that to some extent, although I won't, because I contend that this is a worldwide phenomenon. That every land you go to, you're who, despite the color, are caught up in collectivized culture and society and disempowered for it to some extent. We got a call on the line. 360. Welcome. You're on 1013 WSLV. Your home for all things slavery and sovereign citizen related. What can I do for you? Can I get a name first?
My name is Jesse. I've called him before. You called me.
Right. Tricky Dick. The spirit of Tricky Dick.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Right.
I just wanted. I just wanted to say I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your zeal and you have some zeal in you, man. I mean, you have some good. You seem to fight for the truth, and I just appreciate it. That's all.
Say it for me one time. I am not a crook.
I'm not a crook.
Right. All right. Perfect. What can I do for you, sir? Let's save all the commendation, adulation. I'm not here to receive compliments. It kind of throws the broadcast off. I'm here to flagellate the audience, right?
Well, I will say that what is your? It seems you do have a little bit of. It seems you are a little anti-Semitic. I will say that. So what's going with that? Just
great. Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Just feel free to ask me any one of the 100 questions the average citizen slave would ask me, and I'll give you the real understanding versus what it seems like. And you got to mute for me because you got wind and a whole bunch of stuff going. If you can settle that down for me or just mute in between, that'd be great. I am not anti-Semitic. There are 13 types of Semitic people. I'm not against any one of them. What I'm not for, right? And just because I'm not for something doesn't mean I'm against something either. What I'm not for is a state of Israel, which was created in 1947, a year after the CIA was created, I believe in 1946. Okay, so certain elements of United States corporation are tasked to overthrow and create other nations, is what we're told by them themselves. This isn't my belief. I can bring it up if you'd like, CIA whistleblowers. So they created a CIA, and then they created a state of Israel, and then they feigned or did an actual Holocaust in order to move a whole bunch of people to an area in order to use them as a constituent power base to take over that area and all of its resources. And they've been at war ever since. So Jews, Orthodox Jews, don't support the state of Israel. Why don't you go ask them if they're anti-Semitic or not? It would be
right.
Them anybody asking that, right? Let's go to that clip. This is a perfect clip. Ask a Jew, an actual Jew, about the state of Israel, and they will remind you Judaism is not Zionism.
Why are the Torah Jews so supportive of Palestine?
Well, simply, we're supportive of everything
sir,
that God
you can't hear it.
told us to do, not to steal, not to kill, to show gratitude to people who are innocent, who did us good. The Palestinian people, the people of every Arab and Muslim country embraced the Jews throughout hundreds of years, and now they're being vilified because they're standing in the way, the people of Palestine, of an endeavor called Zionism, a political movement that started 140 years to go around to occupy another people. It has absolutely nothing with our religion.
Why are the Torah Jews so supportive of Palestine?
Well, simply, we're supportive of everything that God told us to do.
Okay, there we are. Now let's go back over to Tricky Dick. That's the bit I'm running with. So we got Randy in chat real quick. Well, your name is Scott, I believe, if I remember correctly, right?
Jesse, close enough.
Jesse, I was thinking Scotty. I got another person, Scotty. Jesse. Jesse's girl. Is the state of Israel your Lady Liberty? Is that your version of Lady Liberty? I'm teasing you. So Israel was foretold, according to Randy, to be coming back and being established in Isaiah 14. I'm really not interested in you guys book that you want to worship, right? Your graven image, your idol, your talisman. I'm really not interested in that. If there's a prophecy there, then great. None of us can do anything about it. If you think that I'm going to lean on a book distributed to everybody, which is one of a 3-part series, because there has to be 3 main religions of the world, and they all have to venerate Saturn, whether they know it or not. We can get into symbolism if you'd like, and words and terms, which I'm guessing you're not going to want to, because you're going to find out that a lot of these gods that claim to be the God of creation are actually some demiurge that have come here to deceive and corrupt, and you want to cite your book that a bunch of men were possessed to write. And in that book, it talks about taking slaves and how it's okay from outside your village and killing people for their sexual orientation and all the rest of this crap. Okay. So I don't know anything about it. I don't need to know anything about it. If there's a living God, it has a living relationship with man. If we would seek it, that's me. That's also you. It doesn't require me citing a book for my understanding of God or my relationship with God. As a matter of fact, if you have a relationship with God, then you can correlate to what's in the book or just leave it where you found it, right? So going to a book with me to cite how you're going to be a part of a state of Israel invading a land, killing people, and setting up false kingdoms because it just has to happen, that's crazy talk to me. And again, I'm not saying it's not possible. If it's possible, we can't do anything about it. The point is, none of you have tried. See, that's the theme over and over again from the beginning of time. You keep having kings running your life who give you manuscripts and tell you how to live, and then you want to quote it to me and someone like me and go, "Paulie boy, it's in the book the king gave us, his version, and it's from God, and we can't do anything about it." That's exactly what kings and rulers would want you to believe and do, is not take an active role, not try to change your life and what we're seeing here. Just accept their fucking tyranny and destruction and expansionism and call it holy prophecy. It's fucking pathetic and embarrassing. And again, if it is a higher order of events that I and others can't do anything about, well, then that will be revealed. From now till then, I'm going to do what makes sense and what's right, and I'm going to use my conscience to call out and stop bad behavior when I see it, and God's going to show me over a long enough time, if it's true, Paulie, you can't influence, you can't change your life or anyone else's, you can't work with others to change their life. That's not what God's been showing me, by the way. So for all you naysayers, for all you worshipers and servants of Saturn and Shaitan, the deceiver, for all you manuscriptors, for all you uninvolved, inactive slaves who are pathetic and embarrassing and want to do nothing to change your life and anyone else's because you're fucking cowardly and selfish, God has not shown me that. Quite the opposite. I have half a dozen court cases in 5 years. I've gotten dismissals on all of them. I've had cops screaming outside my cell because they couldn't believe I was getting results, calling their superiors. I've had people come out of the woodwork to work with me and create something on the land and do activism. We literally have pushed certain talking points into the mainstream by thousands of us in a loosely based network, right? Doing what's true and what's right and forcing these understandings into the mainstream for the rest of you to speculate on, okay? So you keep reading your book, you keep denying a living God, right? You keep denying the law of the land and universal law. You keep denying yourself an opportunity to be a part of something powerful and great and grateful, full of greatness and meaningful, see? You know, you keep denying all of that because you don't want that, right? You don't want any kind of true power or true value, right? You just want to go to your shitty slave job every day, give a third of what you make to your masters, read a book and don't know God and don't know yourself, suck dick to try to get ahead, and then call it happiness and fulfillment. I'm not buying it. I think many of you are in quiet desperation. I think you're dysfunctional and powerless. I think your own women and children don't respect you, and for good fucking reason, because you haven't taken an active role in the world and in your life to do and be and have something greater, because you don't have God in your heart. You don't walk with your conscience. You don't attempt to do what's true and what's right. You suck dick and allow evil to take this place and call it something different than what it is because your book says so. The book doesn't say anything. It was written by a bunch of men and it was heavily redacted. Okay? If you know.
Real quick, sir. I just want to say that last time we talked, I was kind of interrupting you. I forgot your format, and so I'm just on the phone here. I can't see the your video at all. So I mean that just kind of I was kind of interrupting you last time. I apologize about that. But real quick, I just want to say that I'm quite a bit Ashkenazi Jew. I'm not going to take the 23andMe and whatever with that, but you do realize that the King James Scripture is the purest word that we have, and also I do want to say that it's not in there.
It's not. I'm arrogant enough to say it's not.
Well, but I mean,
I fashion what I do here on the fly with no teleprompter, speaking from the soul within that's connected to the Most High, some of the purest word of God that we're going to get. And it's based in common fucking sense and world history. And it's demonstrable, definable, experiential, explainable, and repeatable. So you will not insult the living God and the eternal truth, life, and way by pointing to a 2,000-year-old book and telling me it's the only thing we have. That's you. That's not I am that am. Okay?
Well, it's the only. I mean, the prophecy is perfect, though, Paul. I mean, you have to understand. But also, in that scripture, it does talk about in the Leviticus. It's Leviticus or Deuteronomy, one of the two. I should know because I'm part of you, right? But it does talk about how it is given to the Jews to have bondservants of the heathen forever. And, you know, that goes into the birth certificate, that goes into Social Security and all that. So, I mean, really, they're not doing anything wrong. And I argue with people about this all the time because, you know, it really is given unto the Jews to control the world. You know what I mean? And it's like people hate to hear that. They scream and yell and whatever. But, I mean, it really is kind of it is given unto them to do. You know what I mean? That's why they understand the banking. That's why they understand all this and that. And that's why they...
You're talking about a group of beings that don't agree with Zionism at their core and believe, as I do, that these Zionists are inhabited by the spirit of Lucifer, which is the same thing the Masons claim is the God of this world. You're quoting a manuscript that was written by deceived people that has a piece of truth in it because the greatest lie is the one closest to truth. And the rest of it is absolute, abhorrent, immoral, illogical, unethical nonsense and corruption. And you're making excuses for it because everyone's gotten away with it for the longest time. Doesn't wash with me. If you don't want to be involved in making a change in your life or anyone else's, just say that. What does it have to do with me? I just said I could be wrong. I could be deceived. I could be doing the same thing I'm claiming others are doing. God's going to show me on a long enough timeline. So far, that hasn't been what's been shown. Quite the opposite.
Well, I mean, the burden of proof, though, you know, I mean, if you're so zealous about that, you have to prove it. I mean, how was the King James?
You go ahead and prove it. Telling me that there's correlation without causation is not proof. So you prove that whatever's in the book from 2,000 years ago is the only place the living God and truth is, and that without that, I'm lost and deceived. When my experiences, along with others here, have shown me quite the opposite.
Look around and it proves itself. I mean, you can read the scripture and it proves it again and again and again. It proves it through the Old Testament.
It proves that 8 billion people who 80% are, sir, 80% of the people here are now vaxxed, taxed, and laxed. All that's proven is you refuse to take an interest in your truth and yourself and your future and do something different. That's all that's being proved here over and over again. And you're evidence of it.
Well,
what do you say for the 20% of us that didn't get vaxxed, won't get vaxxed, won't knowingly take Luciferase into our veins to be safer, and are literally the spearhead of the reason why right now your corporation called government is on its heels and doesn't know what it's going to do and scam next because we all didn't go for it? What about us? What about the rest of us? We know about the 80% of you who are duped out, deceived, lying to yourselves and each other, go along to get along, and will literally run the camps because the Jews told you to, and they're ordained by God, so they're really not doing anything wrong. What about the rest of us?
Well, you seem to assume that I'm one of the slave population, which I'm absolutely not.
Why not? Why are you not?
Because I'm one of the chosen people, Paul. Don't you understand?
So you're one of the chosen people, while the chosen people are tasked to do this, but you won't do what they're saying because?
Because I know what they're pulling. And so, okay, so Jesus Christ himself talked about it.
Can you get inside somewhere? Your mic is horrible. It's not only like harassing me, the audience can't take it. You can't even figure out how to communicate with me effectively. And I'm supposed to listen to you about an understanding of anything else?
No, what is all this harassment about, you know? You know,
you're literally in the wind right now somewhere, like Rose on the front of the Titanic. You're in the wind right now, shawl blowing, and you're on the phone trying to talk to me. You can't figure that out. You can figure out how to follow the Jews while you are one, but you're not one, and you're advocating they have to do what they do, and we should all go with it and not resist it, while you're not going with it. I can't even make sense out of what you're saying and doing right now. So I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to have you get me there. I can't have you get me there if I can't hear you.
Is that any better? Might be
Maybe.
better, but
maybe.
Anyways, you're pretty combative, man. You know, I'm in your courtroom, but you know, I mean, it's pretty. You know, I mean, you know, I know that's your bet. I know you know.
It's a bit non-bit. It's very easy to get me frustrated and or passionate and responsive and a bit apoplectic, as you point out, when it comes to addressing this understanding or belief system. Again, I'm open to a limited degree to hearing what you have to say. The moment it doesn't make sense to me, I'm like Judge Judy in that way. I start to check out, you know, and I start yelling.
I appreciate it, you know. And I'm in the same boat, you know. And anyways, I was just wondering about your whole idea with here comes the wind again. I'm sorry. Your idea with Judaism, I wasn't sure where you stood on it, you know, but I just want to make it known that
Judaism for the second time, because you keep saying Judaism. This is why I get frustrated, because it doesn't seem like you actually want to understand, and you're not repeating what I'm saying. You're repeating what you came in saying that I had to differentiate. It's not about Judaism. It's about Zionism. The Jewish people don't support the state of Israel and Zionism. It is a man-made construct. Now, you can argue there's a spirit behind it. I don't believe it's the God of creation. I think it is the deceiver, and I think it has penned through man all of these manuscripts to convince you that when it carries out its will, to sit back, shut up, and let it happen, because it has to happen. And that's what a deceiver would do, is pimp on everybody and get you to believe that daddy has the cure and the solution. And even if it's all bad and wrong, it's not bad and wrong, because it all has to happen. I don't believe that. I believe there's free choice here if we look within and get with the truth beyond what we've been told and what we've been shown predominantly. I don't see how you're going to change that, because it's based in firsthand experience.
Now, real quick, are you a Gnostic? Is that kind of your?
I'm not going to go through the list of words and terms you want to label me with so you can pretend to understand who I am and what I'm doing. I'd rather show you what I'm doing or describe what I'm doing and let you put the label on me. I don't subscribe to labelism.
Well, just to humor the audience, you know, because I mean, I've seen it both ways, Paul. You know, people come on your show and they either are like, "Oh yeah, you're right about everything," or they fight you and about everything you're saying. And I'm not trying to do either or. I'm just trying to call. The original reason I called is just to say, "Hey, good job for your zeal." Very few people have the zeal that you have, and you know that's.
Wonder why that is, sir. I wonder if that's just another one of them damn coincidences. I gotta let you go. The wind is crazy, man. It's annoying me. It's annoying the audience. I'm not going to sacrifice the quality of this broadcast to entertain you and humor the audience with your lack of humor or your lack of understanding that you claim is superior understanding. He left. Anybody understand what the fuck he was saying and how it relates to me or anyone here or even the truth or any of it? I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding. I must not be intelligent enough. I must not be spiritually awake and faithful enough. So I'm not even really denying that we're on a program here. A process is unfolding. It may be being pulled toward an eventuality. It doesn't mean we all have to engage in it. It doesn't mean we all have to pay for it. It doesn't mean we all have to agree with it. Again, are you willing to have some balls and step out on faith and what reason and foresight and world history and conscience shows and be proven wrong by God if you are? Or do you just want to give me this Pascal-esque wager in a sense? Well, what if you're wrong, Paul? What if the scripture is infallible, even though it was written by men? And it has to be that whatever was inhabiting them is the God of creation, even though it says in there to take fucking slaves from other villages and kill gay people and all the rest of it. Maybe you're just all in a fucking cult. Maybe the devil has you all right where it wants you, believing that you can't access a living God and do anything different here while it literally takes this place. There's an old cliche, evil triumphs because good men do nothing. That's what you're advocating for. I will contend good or great men don't ever do nothing in history. That's why they're good or great. Because they're some of the few people who attempt to step out on a limb, go past their fear, practice courage and faith, and make a fucking change inside themselves and whatever community they are a part of. And they usually go down in history as the only important people in the discussion, while the rest of you are just nameless numbers who went along to get along, who sucked the devil's dick, who built it, the beast system matrix for yourself and everyone else, and paid to have it done. So great. You like it. You love it. You think there's no way around it. You're going to go along to get along. Throw yourself into the fucking meat grinder. And then that's what, but I don't do that. I'm one of the chosen ones. So am I then, I guess, by your logic, non-logic. I'm a chosen one as well. I'm not taking the vaccines. I'm not voting for someone to administrate my property and interfere with my fucking rights. I will go to court and go to prison or die if I have to, because I'm a fucking activist and I'm active in my conscience. Something the majority of you are not. And you don't have a core heart-based care and intelligence and will or the balls down here to attempt to get it done. You're too divided, disempowered, and fucking cowardly to get with the program. And if you're not all those things, why are you arguing this nonsense with me as if you know something I don't? Again, I will quote the people who keep writing this crap. Lucifer is their god and their daddy. It comes here to kill, steal, and destroy, and to remake man in its own image. Because it claims it can do it better than the God of creation. The God of creation is allowing it to happen because you're allowing it to happen. If you serve the God of creation and the truth, it won't fucking happen. This isn't that difficult. Someone from the audience get me right. Please, if I need it. Like he said, don't just sit here and go along to get along with me either. Just nod your head and say, yeah, that sounds good. It feels good. Makes sense. Hold me accountable and ask the right questions. Sir, Mr. Jesse, if you want to come back and you don't have insane amounts of wind, I'm open to a limited degree to listening to what you have to say and making it make sense. I haven't heard it or seen it yet, quite frankly. And we're on our third, fourth, or fifth call. So usually by the time we're on our third, fourth, or fifth call and we can't get on the same page, it's probably not meant to be. Okay? And when something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true, is what I've learned. Okay? So I'm not that low level and stupid. I have a pretty open mind and heart, but I'm not going to entertain bullshit and nonsense beyond a certain point. If you can make it make sense, I'm here for it. I'll even change my ways to accommodate it. If you can't get me there, it's probably because you haven't got yourself there yet. So it would make sense why what you're saying to me doesn't make sense to me. What I'm saying makes sense to me and pretty much everyone who comes here, because it's based in cause and effect and what's observable, definable, experiential, demonstrable, explainable, and repeatable. And I'll just do you one better. How about this? We can even concede. I'll meet you wherever we got to meet you at to concede the point. You may be right. I've toiled with this. This may be unavoidable. The world is going to go whatever way it's meant to go, whether I and others do something or not. I'm choosing for me and my family and my community and my life to do what I want to do and what I believe needs to be done. And if that makes me arrogant and selfish when I'm doing it from a place of what seems to be true and correct from my conscience, as limited as that is, then so be it. I will reap the consequence of what I've attempted to sow. I don't see how the God of creation could view me as bad and wrong and evil for attempting to use my conscience and make sense and create a way out of this for myself and others if I'm able. If I'm not able, it will show me over time, and that's not been my results. It seems to me the God of creation is rooting for Paulie Boy and all the rest of us, and is literally sitting somewhere saying, if you just do the fucking basics of what the conscience I gave you reveals, you will have the blessings and the grace and the mercy and the co-creative understanding that leads to results. That's been the experience. So I don't see how you are going to get me to move from that experience. Only God at this point is going to be able to do that. The state of couldn't do it. Okay. Women in my life couldn't do it. Women who are now coming back into my life to admit to me that they got off of what the main purpose and process was of why we came together. It wasn't Lady and the Tramp sucking on spaghetti strands together, and it wasn't fucking like animals. We could do that to whatever degree I'm available for that. There's a bigger calling and a bigger purpose at play here. And this thing has me by the heart and balls. I couldn't change it if I wanted to. So I have to continue. I have to do what I believe is true and what's right. And if God has a surprise in store for me, it's going to make the fucking point that I need to change my ways and readjust. Always has and always will. It's why I quit cigarettes and all tobacco. It's why I now no longer smoke marijuana throughout the day. I take one hit at night instead of 15 to 20 blunts a day. I no longer eat sugar. I have no more caffeine in my life. I eat the same meal every single day because the Spirit has revealed to me that I need true, pure will and discipline, and to care for myself and do the next right thing and stop taking in and being a part of the ways of this corrupt and deceived world that is toxic. Toxico, as the folks who speak Espanol will tell you. Nothing else to talk about, right? You may have the right answer. You may be here for me. I'm not going to listen because I'm on a walk here. The thing has been walking with me and showing me more. I can't reject that for your manuscript. Okay? And quite frankly, every time I get arrested and go to the box for 3 to 5 days while Chile de Castro is crying in the other room, fake crying and begging and getting horrible results while he profiteers and sells bullshit products, I open the Bible and I get exactly what the fuck I need in that moment. So I can't deny that, sir. I will not deny that, even if I could, in favor of whatever that just was. Literally, go to a box. There's nobody there. There's nothing promised. They're hanging years over my head. And I go, can I get that scripture up there? And I open it up and it gives me exactly what I need to continue on my path and get the fucking results that I've gotten. Bible could be a great tool like all spiritual scriptures. If we are in alignment with the living God, it can be a tool for freeing ourselves and empowering ourselves. If you're not with a relationship with the living God, it's a tool for deception and disempowerment. That's why your Masonic masters put it at every Motel 6 from block to block, because they know most of you don't know the truth. You don't wish to understand yourselves in the truth and actually be set free and build a kingdom of heaven. You want to make fucking excuses and abdicate your responsibility and cry and whine when it all goes bad, even though you say you're chosen, while you go along to get along and say there's nothing we can do about it. I think you're a Masonic agent. I think you're a Luciferian. I think you're disingenuous and deflective and obfuscative. That's even a word. I think you're obfuscating, right? Because I didn't say anything about Jews. I said Zionism. They're not the same. And I can stack them a mile high, all the real Jews who say we don't support the state of Israel and their Zionism and what they're involved in. We think it's a deception. And we think they're here to kill, steal, and destroy. And we think they're going to bring in a kingdom of Shaitan and New World Order. Whether it's prophesied or not, I will not serve it to the best of my ability. If that puts me at odds with the kings of this world, then so be it. I'm walking with the Christed being from Scripture, your prophet. I'm walking with that Holy Spirit. And it does not tell me that I should bend the knee to be given access to the kingdom. It tells me I should go to a box above or below ground rather than ever bend the knee to serve the beast system matrix. Because there's a somewhere prepared for me after this, a some when prepared for me after this, just like it is here. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, and thoughts on that. We're going to go over the official narratives and stories. We're going to hit some news elements and articles, and then we're going to get the fuck up out of here. Okay? And I'm going to get back to living my day-to-day life and walking with that spirit and creating something for myself and others here that I've been blessed to be able to do, not only from God, but from these people who come here who resonate with this truth and this way and this understanding. And there's no denying that either. Okay. So I consider it to be a bit magical, a bit miraculous, a beautiful aspect of co-creation that is being revealed more and more. And I will not change it for anything. Well, one thing, as I said, when God shows me that it's a failed endeavor and that there's no point in trying or trying to change anything about me and the world that I'm living in. Again, I don't even have to change the world that I'm living in. You guys are absolutely right. It probably is prophesied and is going that way. I can change me and what I'm a part of and what I serve or don't serve. And that's all that God wants from us, is to save our soul, is my understanding. And you can't save your soul if you're going to go along to get along and make excuses for this kingdom of Shaitan and this deception and say there's nothing we can do about it. Maybe there isn't. There is something I could do about my wickedness and my devilish ways and my harm to myself and other people around me. Okay? So that's what I'm working on, because I need it. You may not need it, sir. I need it. Go ask some of these people around here who don't like me. They'll be the first ones to tell you. Paulie needs the fucking Holy Spirit in his life. He needs some kind of faith-based program and something to focus on. Because if not, he's a flagitious miscreant. I'll be the first one to admit it. That's what my past history has shown. Okay? My addict mind. And I may be engaging in that right now. Keep me honest. Okay? I get that I can be a lot for people at times. I'm set in my ways. I have my convictions and I stick to them from the best to the worst. And oftentimes I have to learn the hard way in order to change. So if you are right and I'm missing something, please hold out some faith, pray for me, and pray that the God of creation reveals to me what you said is true. Because that's the only way that I'm going to be moved at this point, I suspect. Especially if I have to step back from who and what I am and look at myself objectively and what my life path has shown. I'm a pretty hard-headed motherfucker. Right? Like they always tell me, Paulie's a Taurus, his moon is in Saturn and all this whatever. You know, there's something there. There's something to it potentially. Okay. Jesse, everybody. Round of applause. Questions, comments, concerns, call in. Although I'm sure a lot of folks won't want to after whatever just went on here. I know. I'm the big bad bully. I'm the meanie. I'm the bad guy. And I'm sure there is some truth to that. You know, and it's precisely because there is some truth to that. That I'm attempting to practice a different walk in a different way for myself and everybody around me, because I need it more than anybody. Okay. Checking my list. I want to go to the chat and have some engagement. Where are you from, Niglet? Nunya. That's where I'm from, as your name alludes to. Palestine is fake. May the Lord chasten you that disobey him, because he chastens. How is that? Is that the proper word? Is that like an allusion, ALU, to a chastity belt is my first idea of the origin of the word, right? So some form of restraining, a restraint or moderation. There we go. Okay, so we're doing some word engineering here. So it's a word, if I've ever heard, haven't heard in a long time. Chasten you that disobey him, because he chastens, disciplines whom he loves. Be blessed, know God, and obey him. Jesus Christ is Lord, also known as Yahusha and Yahuwah. So that must have been what Al Pacino was talking about in Scent of a Woman. Yahuwah is apparently there's 4 or 5 names for this thing. It's incredible how the chimpanzees who worship rocks have to continue to name something that is potentially unnameable. Did you all get some kind of dream or something where this thing came to you and told you, my name is Yahuwah, and showed you its credentials? How does that all work? Forgive me, I may not know what it does completely. As a matter of fact, I'm sure I don't. I'm just kind of curious how you folks get to these beliefs and understanding. I'm guessing you heard some other chimpanzee say it or wrote it down and handed it to you, so that makes it real. How does that all work? Help me out here. All right, Yamaha. That's the real name of God. Yamaha. So tired of this nonsense. Folks sitting around trying to convince me and themselves and others of who God is, what its name is, and all the rest of it, instead of just fucking pointing out a living God within a living man and what it does, what it leads to, what it creates. By the fruits you will know them. Isn't that what your prophet said, according to your book? So why do we need to go to the name and all the rest of the stuff that you can't prove when we have what's provable right on the table? By what you create, okay, and what you build, by the fruits, what the harvest, what the banquet shows, you will know them or know it. Isn't that just the simplest form of understanding? Stop listening to what everybody's saying and just watch what people do and what is revealed through that doing. That's too simplified for everybody, right? It's too common sense based in cause and effect. That's too discernible, demonstrable, explainable, experiential, and repeatable, right? We got to overcomplicate the shit out of this so we can appear spiritually adept, don't you know? I'm over it. I'm tired of it. We're learning words here today. Not only chasten, which again, I was pretty good at this word thing. Didn't have a complete understanding of the meaning, but was called back to this idea of a chastity belt, which would be a form of restraint or protection, discipline, if you will. And I looked it up, and sure enough, there I was. See? It's good to be able to have a mind that can discern without having to go to the book every time to understand. See how that works? We just proved another simulation on the fly. Paulie Boy didn't have to go to Webster's dictionary from 1603 to understand the word that he didn't have any recall of. He just went to the root of what it is to extrapolate the understanding. He went to the cause and effect to generate an understanding. And I was in alignment there, right? See how that works? Can you see the correlation there between Bible scripture and the words in the book versus a living understanding and discernment? We don't lean completely on our discernment, as the scripture reveals, but it can help, I would think. Pray means to pray on you. LMFAO. Your word magic in your face, bro. Well, I use the word pray colloquially so we all get an understanding, especially when I'm in the company of wannabe Christians. I don't typically like, nor do I use in my own world, in my inner space, the term pray. And again, what you call it isn't as important as what it is. So it may be a level of sorcery and word magic, but you can't change what something is and what it does based on what you call it. Another reflective theme. It doesn't fucking matter what you call God because it's the same energy and spirit doing the same things for the same type of people. What difference is what you call it when what it does is profound and poignant? See how you cart before the horse everything? And usually the word describes some level of meaning. Let's go to it. Let's learn together here. Creature. Of course, the root word of creature is create. So when I call folks a creature, oftentimes they get a negative energy behind that. It's a negative connotation. No, the root word is create. You're part of this creation here, so therefore you're a creature. Let's see. Old French prayer. Pray, the vulgar Latin precare, also a source of Italian pregare. It's almost like prego, right? The sauce. You got pregare. Then we got prego sauce. See, it's all right there. Ask earnestly, beg, entreat. Right. See, oftentimes I don't beg the God of creation, so I'm not really praying. I'm basically holding the image and the idea of what seems to me is most beneficial for myself and others in the sense of co-creative wise, right? What's good for me and everyone else. You got to get selfish to get selfless because there's only one self here on the highest and lowest level. What's good for me is probably good for everybody, whether they know it or not. Probably good for all of us to get back to the land, keep our body moving, work on certain things, be financially free and somewhat independent, do what we love to do that we're good at, and make a change in ourselves and in this life. Probably a good idea for everybody. I'm thinking, right? But I can't make that real or true for you or anyone else here. So thank you, sir, from the Facebook side, revealing to me that we're all doing word magic here. It is called spelling, after all. So yeah, I would consider the word more along the lines of a meditation. You know, maybe even manifesting. Oh man, the Christians don't like that. That's the devil. Everything's the devil, but the devilish shit they're doing. You ever notice that? Oh man, use the word pray. That's the devil. Oh, you got on a mat and you stretched out and did some yoga. That's the devil. But voting for a master isn't. Paying slave tax to build a beast system and do war around the world isn't. Paying them to put poison in your fucking water and food isn't. And all the rest of it. But they're right here on Slave Book to tell me and others how the words we're using are word magic. You're doing sorcery. That's the devil. How about you just focus on what it is and what it does instead of crying about what it sounds like? You know how many people come into my life to tell me what I sound like every day because they don't know what it is and are not interested in knowing what it is? They'd rather talk about what it sounds like. Paul, you sound like a liberal. No, you sound like a collectivist retard who can't see out of the system you've been born into. So everyone's got to sound like a Republican or sound like a liberal because you folks can't see what it is and you're not interested in what it all does. Just like with God, you do this with everything. Okay? It doesn't begin or end with God or the state or politics or law or any of it. You folks tell me every day, all day on anti-social media what it sounds like when you don't even know what the fuck it is or how it works or what it does. I contend that I do. What we call it doesn't much matter after that point. Unless you're doing it from an ignorant, arrogant state. Nope, I'm going to call the God of creation Yahoo-ha because someone on the internet did a presentation on it and I'm informed now. I'm a truther. What are you doing? What are you creating? What are the fruits of your understanding? And if it's little to nothing, you're a dunce. And what it sounds like to you makes no difference to me because I can tell you what the fuck it is or what it does. And that's a superior understanding to what it seems to be or what it sounds like. Okay? Okay. Now go run back to Slave Book and tell Lisa and all the other informed truthers who are always telling me and others what it sounds like, what it actually is and what it does, and tell them to get their ass in gear. The time is now, after all, right? Good thing we get an infinite amount of nows. Lifetime after lifetime. You're special, Paul. No, I went to special class because this is a theme that's been carried over in my life from day one. I refuse to cooperate and comply with charlatans. And that's everyone, pretty much. Pop out a child and send them to the public school system and watch how they come home every day, filling their head with a bunch of nonsense from a bunch of people who think they understand how things work because they know what it sounds like, but don't know what it does or how it actually works. Okay? So I'm special in a world of very non-special people, according to you. I don't see it that way. I'm just someone who's awake and aware, asking questions, and is more concerned with what the truth is than what feels better to me and everyone else. That ultimately deceives us and causes us more pain, right? So if I'm special, it's only because, like I said, I'm not willing to cooperate and comply with charlatans. I will ask questions to my own detriment, and I will presume that I have a more legitimate understanding than whoever's at the front of the room claiming to be an authority. especially if they don't make any sense. So you're right. That is special in a world of go along to get along, collectivized slaves who keep repeating what the fuck they've been told and ignoring what the fuck it actually is. And this is where we get back to the cliche, the condemned man, the intelligent man who's proud of his large IQ is like the condemned man who's proud of his large jail cell. I don't see it as special. It may be rare, and that's precisely why we find ourselves on the world stage in the condition that it's in. That's not a prideful place to be for me. That's a pathetic, embarrassing place for the majority to be in, that they should be reflecting on. Okay? Doesn't make me special because I don't even need to read into any of this crap because I got an intuition at my core that's right 10 out of fucking 10 times. From voting, which I've never done, to fake religions, which I've never bought into, to vaccines, which I've never fucking put into my skin, and all the rest of it. Doesn't make me special. It makes the majority of folks here pathetic and embarrassing. 775, you're on 1013 WSLV, your home for all things slavery and Sobsit related. Questions, comments, concerns?
Yo, what's up, dude? How are you? I was just on your YouTube live, and I was listening to you talk about some people on the Christian right, and I myself, I am a Christian, but I don't push Trump over Jesus. I worship Jesus above Trump, right? And so I just want to lend myself as a resource to you if you had any questions, brother, about anything that it says in the Bible or about why certain people on the Republican side might be pushing some stuff and using the Bible as justification.
I may have questions, not in this moment. I believe I have an understanding, and that just might be my hubris, arrogance. So yeah, I don't have much question because I believe I already understand. I guess I would be open to you explaining more about who you are and what you do, and then either seeing where I align or where I resonate or picking out the inconsistencies if you'll allow me. We don't have to do that either. Now I have a question. Are you part of my movement that I just started? It's a takeoff of MAGA. It's MASA is the acronym, MASA. It's Make America Slaved Again. And I'm not I'm not doing that movement because I like that. I'm doing that because that's what the majority of the folks voting and paying slave tax are actually building and creating. Your thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally get you. I was literally just scrolling on your YouTube live, bro. And then I was hearing that you were mentioning Yahweh. And I was like, oh, maybe this guy but then you were saying that people were using Yahweh to push a particular thing or thinking that they
Where do we get this Yahweh from? Can you just source it for me? Any firsthand knowledge, or is this hearsay?
No. This is firsthand knowledge. So Yahweh is the God in the Old Testament. So the Old Testament of the Bible, he is also the God of the New Testament, but here's the difference. The first, I would say 3/4 or 5/8 maybe of the Bible is called the Old Testament, and it's written in Hebrew. And then the New Testament, the other 3/8 or 1/4, if you want to think about it that way, is written in Greek. So back in the Hebrew language, our God, Jesus, is named Yahweh back in the Hebrew language. So that's where that's coming from.
How does that happen? How do we confirm that? Why are we not immediately suspicious of all these accounts? Again, I'm asking questions based on my limited understanding and defiant, obstinate core,
If you want to, brother, so you're saying, how do we know that? So how we know that? So there's this, it's called the Blue Letter Bible. And what it does is you can read along with the Bible in English, and then you can put the original language that it was written in right next to it. So that
why am I going to a book to establish a relationship with a living God that the prophet in the scripture says is inside of me and every one of you? Why would I do that?
Yeah, for sure, bro. So think about it like this, right? If I tell you, okay, I give you an instruction on what to do, but it's just the most bare bones instruction. Like, hey, I believe personally that people are written with a certain moral code on their heart that comes from God. But the thing is, the natural human nature is to suppress this moral code. And that's how you end up with the evil in the world, right? It's because people suppress this moral code. So when you open the Bible, you say, oh man, like this aligns with what I'm thinking in my heart. And now I know where this is coming from, and I know how to actualize this moral code. And that's why you would look to it.
Right. So can we point out how this moral God of the Old Testament that you refer to as Yahweh under supposedly original covenant suggested that people take people as property and slaves or stone other people for their sexual orientation? How does that wash?
Yeah, I'm happy you're asking, bro, because this is a huge argument, right? So this is a huge debate all over this. And so here's how we answer it. So in the Old Testament, you will never be able to provide any verse from the Bible. You cannot come up with one where God says it's okay to have a slave. It's not in there. In no translation, in no English, the Hebrew, the Greek, any source material of the Bible you want to pull from, it is never denoted, it is never implied, it is never, the writer never wanted us to infer it. But what it does show us is if people back in the day or now do have a slave, how to treat them. God never says it's okay. He actually condemns it, but he says, hey, if you're going to have a slave, even though it's not approved of, here's how you treat them. And those laws are actually more just. It's just like, and I'll compare it to you to make it easier to understand. So back in the day, Yahweh gave the law to Moses, and it was okay to get a divorce in a certain circumstance. But then in the New Testament, when Jesus came, Jesus said, hey man, it's never okay to get a divorce. And the Pharisees were highly educated on the scriptures, and they said, hey man, Moses said it was okay for us to get a divorce, right? So Moses said, hey, it was okay for us to get a divorce. And so
I got to stop you for a second. The passage is one of them among multiples, one of them that comes to mind, and I can get it. I can pull it up here if need be, word for word, but masters, treat your bondservants justly and fairly. How can one have a bondservant and then be compelled to treat them justly and fairly while they're a bondservant?
So so let me explain it to you this way, right? So if I told you, like in California, I don't know if you know about California, but what they're doing is they're saying, so there's a whole bunch of drug addicts in California. What the government is doing is they're providing shelters for those people to do their drugs. If you look it up, there's literally shelters in California where people to go to shoot up heroin and snort coke, and there's literally government officials there that help those people do it safely. And what they're trying to do is limit the casualties from drug overdose. Is their plan. And this, in similar fashion, God is trying to say. Yahweh is trying to say, hey man, we don't want you doing this at all, because the government doesn't want us doing drugs, right? But just like Yahweh says, don't own a slave, but he's saying, well, everybody already has slaves. So he's saying, if you do, man, treat them fairly. Treat them fairly. Don't beat them all the time. Don't kill them. You know what I mean? If you're going to have a bondservant, treat them appropriately. So he's not condoning the act of having a bondservant. He's saying, hey man, if you're going to choose to pursue this, you better do it appropriately.
Right, but why would this same God not encourage men to just stop doing the slavery?
That
You're saying God is making concessions with man. Well, we know you guys are going to do slavery and genocide, so if you do it humanely, like they say with the animals. Well, we raise them, we feed them, we pet them, we name them, and then we slit their throat at some point and exist off of them. We do it humanely. I have a hard time following this train of thought, right? This sentiment.
Your train of thought is valid, and I'm right with you, right? So, for example, can you explain this to me? The U.S. government says drugs are federally illegal. So why don't they send soldiers to everybody's house, knock down their door by force, search their whole house, and take all the drugs out? Why don't they do that?
Because each man and woman has a right to walk their own path and do with their body what they please. And if they're wrong, then God's going to show them. Is the idea?
So in that fashion, sir, let's take it a step back, right? In that fashion, you said, word for word, you said, every man and woman has a right to do what they want to do. And if it's not right, then God's going to correct them. And sir, That's exactly what the Bible did. He said, God is giving an outline that says, hey,
this is essentially like God saying to man, if you're going to do heroin, at least buy clean needles from the pharmacy so we don't spread disease.
Essentially, yes. So that's why, in the same fashion, like I told you, back in the Old Testament, they said, hey man, you can get a divorce if your wife cheats on you. And then in the New Testament, God said, hey man, no divorce is really okay. And so then they said, well, why didn't God tell us back then? And Jesus said, because you wouldn't have listened. And so that is that me and you are on the same train of thought, brother, that you just said it with your own words. People have a right to do whatever they're going to do. And I totally agree with you. I have a right to not do heroin. Someone else has a right to do heroin if they want to do it.
But your rights begin or end where someone, your rights begin and end where someone else's nose begins and ends. So it's not even quite the same analogy, because it's one thing to say, if you're going to do with your body something I would command you not to do, at least practice harm reduction, but you're still doing evil and destroying yourself on some level. That's not the same as God making concessions that, hey, if you're going to take a slave and do, illegitimate courts of non-law, right, and trade people as property, at least be nice to them when you do human trafficking. I'm not buying that for some reason.
I'll ask you this one final question, brother, because I really like that you're trying to inform the people and everything. And I'll say this one final question. Why do we have rules of war if my rights stop where another person's begin? Meaning, in war, why don't we just go pillage their cities, rape every woman, gas them, and commit as much genocide as we possibly can? Why is there rules of war that says, hey man, you can't just gas a whole bunch of civilians and nuke their entire city. You can't go in and endlessly, sexually assault their citizens. Why do we have those protections in place? Why wouldn't we just say, hey, let's not war anymore? Because that's your argument.
I ask myself that all the time. I toil with that.
Exactly,
Is war or self-defense beyond a certain point ever legitimate in the eyes of God, who has a plan for all of us? Yeah, this is why I settle on civil disobedience. I settle on, if there's enough of us not complying, then they got to kill all of us or house all of us at a concentration camp. And if there's enough of us doing God's will and just not complying, but also not fighting, that they can't go through with it forever and it will be stopped. Right. So that's why I've settled on that, because I myself, who have tons of guns, don't actually in my heart believe that fighting off these people and their system is actually going to change anything. It may stop them for a time, or they'll just bring more to overrun me. It then turns me into who and what they are on some level, right? Which is a killer.
No. Yeah, bro. I know exactly what you're saying. And brother, I really appreciate you having a discussion with me. Honestly, bro, just keep on pursuing the truth, bro.
I like this. Honestly, I like what you said, because you made it clear and I was unclear with my verbiage, and I'm glad you got me right, because you pointed out that I was being a bit extreme when I said, although I have to look again, because I could swear, and this is how mistakes happen, I could swear I went into the Bible a while ago, and there are specific pages in there, if not the edited books, where it talks about taking a slave and actually how to do it. And it's okay to take one if it's not from your village, right? It like cautions people. If you're going to have a slave, like you said, it was making concessions. If you're going to have a slave, make sure it's not from your village. It's like on the other side of town, right? Because if not, it'd be wrong. Give me the gay rap. Give me the gay rap. Because I'll look this up right now if I need to. I'm pretty sure the Bible says something about putting people to death who lay woman with woman, man with man. Is that true? You seem to be a biblical scholar. You seem to know all of what's in there. Hopefully you've looked at the edited, redacted aspects of it. Is there anything conclusively in there about stoning the homosexual or putting them to death? Or did I just misremember that as well?
So I'm going to tell you right now, brother, when Jesus came, so in the Bible, in the New Testament, any Christian will tell you, if they're a Bible-believing Christian, that Jesus is the incarnate Son of God. And so what Jesus did, bro, it literally says that he came not to condemn the world, but to save it. Jesus literally said, I'm going to sacrifice myself for you to save you from what you're doing. So yes, as Christians, I'll tell you this straight up. We do believe that homosexuality is wrong. We don't agree with that lifestyle, but we are not incentivized at all by God ever in the Bible to kill them. There will never be a time in the Bible, bro, where God instructs someone to kill someone else, Jesus instructs a modern day Christian to kill someone because of their race or because of their
Leviticus
sin.
20:13, if a man practices homosexuality, having sex with another man as with woman, both men have committed a detestable act. They must be put to death, for they are guilty of a capital offense.
So where is that, though? You said it was in Leviticus.
You're going to do the thing like everyone does, where you claim that that was the old Yahweh before Yahweh turned over a new leaf and decided to stop killing people for their sexual orientation, or advocating that we do it.
So here's what I'm going to tell you, bro. So listen to this, right? Back in the Old Testament, they were sacrificing animals because blood equals life, right? When you go to the doctor, what do they do to determine if you have a disease? They're going to draw your blood, and they're going to examine your blood, and they're going to say, oh man, here's what's in his blood. Now we know if you have a disease, because blood is where your life is, bro. So God said, when you have sins that need to get covered, a perfect lamb has to be sacrificed. And the perfect lamb is a symbol of Jesus, right? So Jesus comes and he sacrifices himself to cover every sin. Now, back in the day, this was a totally separate set of rules to govern the people at that time. And the reason they're doing that, I'll tell you right now, it also says in the Levitical law where you're at, this is called the Mosaic law or the Levitical law, it says don't wear a shirt that has multiple different colors in it. Don't eat seafood or pork. Don't cut your hair ever. Just let your hair grow out and your beard. But the thing is, bro, a lot of these things that happened were because there was paganistic peoples around Israelites at the time. And God said, man, I want to keep you separate, and I want to show you my way. I want to show you my way of living. So if you start doing these pagan traditions, then we got to cut that off. So let me ask you this, bro. If you had a son and he started hanging around with drug dealers, are you going to permit that? Or are you going to say, son, you can't hang out with those drug dealers anymore?
I couldn't honestly tell you what I would do in this situation. I'd have to be there. I could speculate.
Yeah.
It would depend largely on his age and ability to reason, and what he's chosen for his path in life. So
that's perfect that you said that, bro. You said it's dependent on his age and mostly his ability to reason. So I'll tell you like this, bro, and I will let you go after this unless you have another question. But the Bible says everybody, like sheep, has gone astray, bro. The Bible says we're all sheep. We don't know our left from our right, our up from our down, bro. So the thing is, the reason God is telling these people these rules is because they don't know what's good for them. The reason he tells them not to eat pork and seafood is because they don't know that it contains harmful pathogens unless you cook it properly. That's why I can eat pork and seafood today as a Christian and not be in violation of Levitical law, because I devein the poop vein out of my shrimp and I clean my pigs before I eat them. So it's not like there's certain Levitical laws, bro, that have passed away, and that command to stone these people wasn't Jesus in his mercy and his forgiveness. This was God in his wrath saying, if you pick up the traditions of these people, I'm gonna have to separate you. And I'll tell you, bro, if you love your son, you're gonna tell him, man, get away from those drug dealers. Those drug dealers are going to lead you down a bad road, man. And that's what God was doing. He said, if you start engaging in these homosexual relations, then you're going to start worshiping other gods. Then you're going to start doing paganistic sex rituals. Then you're going to start going down this road. So God says, I'm going to rip you away from that. Do not get involved with those rituals at all. But when Jesus comes, bro, I'll tell you what changed. It's not that Yahweh turned over a new leaf. It's that God said, I'm going to provide a way of forgiveness for everything. So now guess what, bro? If you're a homosexual, there's a way to forsake that, and there's a way to get back on the right path. You know what I mean? And we don't hate homosexuals. We love them. I want more homosexuals in the church. Give me everyone. Give me the drug dealers. Give me the people that are gang affiliated. You know what I mean? I want everyone in the church, because the one thing about God, bro, this is his chief aspect. God is love. He doesn't want homosexuals to get stoned and killed. He wants us to be set apart for him, bro, and he wants us to please him. And that's the goal. That's the goal of the entire gospel, bro, is to show love to other people. Not
okay.
hate.
I like this. You're giving me your understanding. You're not being in any way untoward, right? So you got a good energy about you. You're giving me your understanding. I don't have to agree, but I am open to listening and knowing more. I've heard a lot of this before. It may just not, I may not be where I need to be in order to accept it or understand it. And that's fine, right? But
yeah, you're good. Like I said,
so I want to ask you this though. Yeah. I want to know this.
Yeah.
How do we come to this conclusion? Because again, we're now deep into a book. We're now reshaping our whole reality and what we experience around another reality we weren't part of. It's double hearsay. How do we now go to Jesus is the only Son of God when the being said multiple times in the scripture that we're all sons and daughters of the Most High and are potentially capable of greater things than him? How do we get to this understanding of Jesus is the end all be all, is the only Son of God, and he came on a cloud and he died for our sins, and he's going to come back at some point when we're all ready or not? How do we get there?
So if you look up the verse, John 3:16. So John 3:16, it says Jesus is God's only begotten Son. So that word begotten is it means a lot, right? So do you know what begotten means?
We're going to go to it right now. Official etymology, or do we have a source for that that's preferable? Or
you can literally go to the Blue Letter Bible, just look up the word, what does begotten mean? And it says, so I'm going to look up John 3:16.
Typically of man, sometimes of a man and woman, bringing a child into existence by the process of reproduction, to beget.
Yep. So it literally says, now there is no God the mother, right? Because who's Jesus's mother? Jesus's mother is earthly. Her name is Mary, right? And so, but God the Father is his father. And so what we have here is Jesus being the begotten Son of God the Father. I am not begotten of God the Father, right? I did not come directly from his lineage. But
I don't accept that. That's where we're going to disagree. I believe, as the being said there, we're all children of the Most High, and we all come from somewhere or somewhen through the men and women we call earthly mother and father. We are oftentimes not of them, nor are we of this world, right? So that to me is evidence of the same idea being true for me and everyone here as it is for that being. Because I could literally relate to, from day one, me being nothing like my parents, not agreeing with them, being at odds with them, forcing myself to serve something that they told me I was crazy for, not forcing myself, being forced to through the trials and tribulations, and going on a dark path into the world and becoming of it, right? As you say, criminality, and various forms of lust and impure desires and all the rest of it. So I almost believe on some level the evil is necessary for us to explore and understand and experience, to turn us from our wicked ways. Because if we know the devil, we know evil, it is then possible to know God and then be saved through grace and an understanding that is applicable, right? So I don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're literally one step away from being a biblically solid Christian. Literally everything you
almost
just
there,
said,
guys.
Yeah, everything you just said is literally directly what we believe in the Christian church. The only thing, like you said, you disagree on, if you walked into church and you said that's what you believe, people would think that you were a Christian. But the thing is, bro, here's what I'll tell you. There is nowhere else in the Bible. You're completely correct when you say that in the Bible, it says that we are all sons and daughters of God, right? It does say that. But there is nowhere in the Bible where it will call anybody else other than Jesus the begotten of the Father. There is nowhere in the Bible where it uses that specific phrase. And so we have to, now again, we can argue all day long about if the Bible is God's word or if it's not. And if you say, well, the Bible is not truly inspired by God, then I'm not here to debate that, right? But what I'm trying to show you is that in our belief, the Christian belief, and that's what I'm doing, I'm lending myself to you as a resource. In the Christian belief, we have to look at the Bible. We have to say, well, Jesus is the only begotten of the Father. So that means he comes directly from his lineage, which means he is God. And we as humans are not God. We're the sons and daughters of God, but Jesus literally is God. And so that's what the conclusion we come to.
I contend that if we're going to read it that way and understand it that way, and then take the man's quotes in context, he's really saying, which he was put off by the establishment of his day, that we're all either part of or with God. And that was the basis of that being's whole teaching in Revelation, was he was coming here to reveal to all of us that we have a connection to source, and that is greater than any earthly ruler or master, the state, its policies and codes, its supposed remedies for our safety that only put us deeper into dysfunction and disempowerment. So yeah, it doesn't seem that we disagree. on the words and terms. We just disagree on who's who and what's what. And again, this is a being who in his time, while he was saying, doesn't your scripture say ye are all gods? They turned to him and said, you fucking heretic blasphemer. You just said God is within all of us, or that we're part of it. That's not our religion. And I'm saying that Christians are doing the same thing today. They're saying that a prophet who came to reveal that God is within all of us is blasphemous and heretical because it won't concede that there's only one and we're separate from it. And we can only get there through a tool or an intercessor. To me, it's ironic because the Christians of today are doing idol worship, and they're quoting some guy, John, who wrote down that the only way to get to God is through this guy. It'd be equivalent to me being put to death, and then someone in the chat, Ace is in the back, Ace 316 says the only way to God is through Paul Unslaved. And you would proceed to then have all the people who were experiencing with me and actually listening say, he never said that. He never showed that. He said and showed the exact opposite, that God is within all of us and therefore with all of us. And the whole point of the teaching is to not have anyone or anything in between. Christians are doing the opposite of what their prophet has commanded of them and shown them.
Yeah,
that's why I say it's a cult.
That might be some Christians, right? But I'll tell you this: if you think that it says in the scripture that Jesus said that every person is a god, he never said that. What Jesus is meaning by that, and if we look into it, he references it multiple times. He says that the Holy Spirit is going to come and he's going to indwell you. So what he's talking about is that the Holy Spirit is the Spirit of God. And so it's going to come and it's going to indwell the people who believe in him. And so what he's saying, he's not saying, hey man, you are a God. He's not preaching that theology at all. You'll never find that in the scripture. You will never find in the Bible a time where Jesus is going to say, hey, you are a God.
No, I didn't say that. He turned, as I understand it, and I can pull up the quotes where necessary if we disagree. I believe, and I probably should do that anyway, but I believe that he turned to the people who were trying to persecute him and put him on trial and said, doesn't your scripture say that ye are all gods? Because again, I can imagine myself being in the same scenario and have been many times and having to point people back to their own doctrine, as I'm doing here today, that points out certain logical, rational, as logic and rational as we're going to get, talking about something that can't be proved conclusively, right? But there's evidence of a mile high.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about now, because it clicked with me. I thought you were accusing Jesus of saying you are a God.
No.
But what you're talking about, bro. So what he's saying is he's condemning their hypocrisy. So Jesus calls himself the Son of God. And what he does call himself that definitively. And what he means by that is he's saying, hey man, I literally descend from God. That is what he's claiming. And the religious leaders try to stone him for that one time. And then in John 10:34.
So I have here, you're going to have to cite that so I can look it up, because here it's paraphrasing and saying, as it turns out, depending on what gospel you read, so they can't even have an agreement in the damn book, apparently. Jesus never says he is God. So no,
okay. So let me pull it up, right?
Please do, because I'm doing a good faith, honorable effort in getting you right. If there's something I don't want to accept, but it's there, I will look at it and try to understand it and incorporate it if necessary, at the risk of using the word incorporation. But colloquially, I think you know what I'm saying.
For sure. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up right now, bro. And then this is straight. So this is, if you want to look it up, this is coming from the book of John, chapter 10. John chapter 10, and then I'll tell you what this verse.
Right, so, and the other problem with this is too, and this is why we have certain standard for courts of law, and one of them is that hearsay is inadmissible, because we're literally, by doing the Bible, going 2,000 years back to a book that was edited by a king, and it's a list of stories told by other people about other people. It's beyond triple hearsay. Right. So I would prefer that folks just come here and give, and all of us give our firsthand testimony, bear witness and testimony to the grace and the mercy and the glory of God and the Holy Spirit that dwells within each of us, and what that provides and protects us from and with. right? Rather than go to triple hearsay and try to interpret it to make it fit with what we want to believe, right? Because I've met a ton of these Christians who give me this rap the same way you're doing. And when I ask them, could you just give me some evidence of how you're walking with the Holy Spirit and you're not like the rest of these statists and fascists, and tell me what I can tell you all day, every day, I believe are godly experiences where God has shown and revealed and provided and protected in real time on the ground in complete scenarios where it was not only improbable, it seemed impossible. If you ain't got that and you can't literally write a modern day Bible with your own witness testimony, I usually don't believe it, right? But I'm not saying you're doing it.
No, yeah, and I'll tell you, I'll give you 2 real life examples, and then I'll ask you a thought provoking question, and we won't read from the Bible. We won't read from the Bible because I'm gonna ask you a question about it. So first, bro, when I met my wife, she didn't believe in God and anything. I did, but I was on a backslidden path, and she was like addicted. She was addicted to smoking. She was drinking when I met her, and then all of a sudden, bro, when she started coming to this knowledge of the Bible and she accepted the Lord, she quit drinking and smoking cold turkey. Just boom, cold turkey, no withdrawals, no nothing. So that's the first evidence that God freed her from that. It was like a divine deliverance, bro. So that's, to me, in my life, that's the first evidence. The second evidence is I literally should have died from working too much. Literally, I was working myself to death because my dad kicked me out of my house when I was young. I was literally working like 16-hour days every day, and then coming home and doing full-time college as well. And sometimes I would work 20-hour days. And then, bro, I was driving. I probably fell asleep driving on the road at least 10 times, just on the public road driving. Every time I fell asleep, I would just wake up in a ditch in my car. But I never once died, and my car was never damaged. I would literally be in a ditch. My car never got damaged, and I never died. And I literally fell asleep on the road. I don't even know how I got to where I was going. And so those are 2 evidences, bro, where it's like, oh my gosh, just the grace of God that I can see. And the final thing, bro, that I'll leave you with, and you don't even have to answer me if you want, but just this is for knowledge only. If we grant the position that there was an all-knowing and all-powerful and all-loving God, if he said something to humanity, would he have the power to preserve his word through all of time? If he was all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving, and he said something to humanity, he said, this is my word, do you think he would let it get corrupted? Or do you think he would preserve it so we know exactly what he said? And that's if you think about that question deeply, bro, you know, it'll change the way you look at everything.
I believe if you want to call God the Father, then it's going to have fatherly aspects to it. And I can look within in my own life to see, even though I don't have children, how I deal with other people's children who I work with here. And while I may believe that I know better and have my own experiences, there are times where I let them do exactly what they want to do, because I know there will come a point where a teachable moment will emerge, and then they will trust me more, because through their choices, they're going to learn the hard way, right? They're going to put themselves into judgment. And
100%.
once that happens, they'll be more open to receive the teaching or the order, so to speak, than they would be if they didn't have that event, right? You have a free-spirited child. They want to do what they want to do. You tell them, you know, I have a child here who I tell him, please don't mess with the solar panels outside. Please don't play in the dog's face is a better example, because he's always going up to this big dog we have and messing with its mouth. And the dog is old and has a certain countenance to it, right? A lot like me. If you play in its face long enough, it gets a little uppity, right? So we tell him, stay away from the dog's face, stop playing with him. The kid says, no, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I say, oh man, he's just like me. He's going to learn. He's going to learn the hard way, right? Sure enough, just yesterday, the dog went off on him, you know, the cat as well. He's always grabbing the cat by the tail. Cat scratched him on his face. Dog went to go bite him in his face. Now he's crying hysterical. Now I can remind him, remember when daddy told you and showed you why you should do this and not do it? It's only because I allowed you to continue doing it that now you can learn why you shouldn't do it on the fly with firsthand knowledge, right? So again, the bad stuff, the evil stuff, the darkness is necessary, because that's our greatest teacher and tester. And the only way, it seems for most of us, to be taught is by going with that test, that challenge, that darkness, that despair, right? That disempowerment, that hurt, that pain. We don't learn any way else, it seems. right? So I have a little bit of a different view on what the devil's purpose and process is here. To deceive us and make us believe we know, so we walk the path and get ourselves into trouble and then come back under the light of creation by using logic, moral, and ethic once we've had the experiences, right? You can't do one without the other. If not, you're just following orders. I don't think God wants order followers. I think God wants tested, tried, and true, challenged men who it uses the least among us. I'm an example to bear witness and testimony to something so great and powerful that never would have been spoken about if it wasn't for these set of experiences, right? So they work hand in hand.
You're absolutely correct. You're literally 100% on point, and you sound like a biblical scholar, because literally what you just said is literally 100% confirmed in the Bible. Like, literally, you spoke nothing against the Bible in that whole spiel. And so, like, brother, I'm going to be honest with you. I support you, and I like you, bro. Keep on pursuing truth, and I'll leave you with this. Keep on pursuing truth, bro, because truth is going to grow your knowledge. But limit your over criticisms, because that's going to lead to just failure after failure. Truth seeking will lead to more knowledge, but closed-mindedness and over criticism will lead you down a path of failure, bro. And that's not even religious, just in anything, bro. You know what I mean? Always seek the truth. And I like you, bro, because you are a truth seeker and you're not overcritical. You don't just judge and judge and judge and judge right away. You literally say, okay, bro, let's get down to brass tacks. So I support you, bro, and I'm going to subscribe to you. And I really appreciate talking to you, bro, because I really appreciate people like you who get down to it.
Yeah, I feel love with you. You know, I have a love for you already. I see the light in you that is within me. Dare I use the namaste analogy, right? Because I just think that these are the same retellings of the same story over and over again that only relate to us because we relate to it. You know, so with that relationship with it, right, God and even the devil, we come to know more about ourselves and have more truth revealed. So, yeah, man, I'm here for it. I appreciate you. It sounds like you want to go. I do have someone else here we can move on to, so I don't need to go, but I'll let you go if you want to kind of get up out of here. I think we had a decent exchange. I look forward to you being back, man. Come back here, hold me accountable. You know, question me. Same idea for me, right? And let's have the back and forth, because I do appreciate it. And if nothing else, it gives us a good conversation and some good content for the people. So blessings to you, sir. What was your name again?
My name is Luke, bro.
Luke, there you go. Paul, Luke.
There you go.
Not much has changed, right? Not even some of the faces or the names, it seems. So we're here and we're still doing it.
I'm telling you, it's no coincidence, bro. It's no coincidence, bro.
It's not, you know. Hopefully I'm a little more Paul and a little less Saul of Tarsus, as far as I understand it, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense, bro. All right, I will catch you later, and I will be keeping up with your stuff. So thank you for talking to me, bro.
And share, man. Like, share, subscribe, restream it. I won't copyright you. You can restream me on your channel. They'll probably shadow ban you for it. But hey, it could be argued that's when you know you're doing the Lord's work. But today we broke through, right? We broke through a little bit. We're doing decent with the numbers. Maybe it's just better content and I'm preoccupied with the shadow banning thing. Maybe it doesn't exist and I'm just paranoid. Even he's laughing. He's like, yeah, sure. It doesn't exist. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go.
All right, I'll catch you later.
Sure thing. All right, Luke, everybody. Coming at ya. Good kid, you know, good energy. He was doing the bro thing, though, like the meme on Facebook. Bro, please, bro, listen, bro. Jesus is the only begotten son, bro. It's got to be that way, bro. There's no connection to God but through him, bro. And I'm like, yeah. Again, I'm open to it, man. I'm not so arrogant and ignorant and hubris filled that I would deny conclusive evidence or proof of this Jesus character or Yahuwah or whoever would else being the only and the everything, right? That hasn't been my experience, quite the opposite. And when I go to the scripture and what the being supposedly said, triple hearsay, my experience is more in alignment with what's being told and taught there than what everyone else keeps saying. So I have to conclude on some level till I'm shown further that this is another common theme going on. That some of us kind of get it after a certain point through our real life experience, and we are here to bear witness and testimony of that. And then there's everyone else who's telling me and others what they've read and what they've been told and what they've been shown. And again, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. Just like this person who just came in here today. And then I'm going to let Ace in, who's now spouting. You guys are so predictable. It's like you could set your watch by this crap. Candace Owens just revealed who shot Charlie Kirk. How does Candace Owens know? A couple questions for you, and then bring me the evidence. Email me. Up top is contribution links. There are also an email. Send it to me. I'll review it here. How does Candace Owens know who shot Charlie Kirk, and why are we getting the revelation now? Is it possible that Candace Owens, like Charlie Kirk and many others, are statist agents who are there to be part of a deception or actively willfully deceive and continue to reveal and reveal and reveal, but not actually ever reveal anything, because they want you taking their little nuggets of non-truth and repeating them to everybody else, because the system on the back of the dollar bill profits from chaos and creating order out of it, right? Ordo ab chaos. So this is what I'm talking about. More double and triple hearsay, more projections and rejections, more curating the narrative, right? More damage control. So, hello? I don't accept Candace Owens or any one of these statists fascists who votes for a master and follows code as anybody holy or divinely inspired or co-creative and conscious. They are duped. They are deceivers. They're profiteering and raking in millions while giving you little nuggets of information that you all keep repeating and arguing over, while you ignore how you're going to change your fucking life and the course that this country is on. Okay? Stop it. Please, I'm asking. If nothing else from me, if you're going to do it, actually bring it here. I was going to say do it somewhere else, but no, I do a broadcast, and sometimes that means we have to incorporate. Oftentimes that means the main thing of this broadcast is bringing up the darkness and the deception and highlighting how bright and beautiful it can be, just like the Lucifere says that it is, but for different reasons, because it's so bright and beautiful and fascinating in its deception that it calls out to us to remind us of what's really above and beyond it. See? It has a way, while trying to play God and masquerade as an agent of truth, of bringing us to what's above and beyond it. See? And that's its calling, whether it knows it or not. See? For the rest of us, that's its calling. For you folks, it's there to deceive you and convince you that you have the truth, life, and way if you just go to it. This is why I believe Jesus was referred to in the Bible as the morning star. See? Not a coincidence, because it's a very... Jesus was actually painted in a lot of these old paintings as half holy and half Baphomet, half Lucifere type creature. Because again, it depends on your understanding, and what you do with it or not is going to depend on whether it is a prophet or a source of false power, right? True prophet that brings us back to the divine co-creative and localized conscience or non-local conscience, whatever you folks believe in, right? We understand the idea of conscionable. So if we're not brought back to that and led by our conscience, which God put there, then we are under a deception and we're middlemaning, and there goes our power. See? But again, I pray to the God of creation that more be revealed to me, and for all impediments inside of me to be removed, so that I can have the most purest transmission and translation of what is, separate from what I or others want it to be and don't want it to be, right? I call out for that regularly, if you want to call it praying or begging, right? I'm simply stating that if it is God's will for me to know this truth, then at your whim, at your will, when I and you are ready, please allow that, if that hasn't already been done, right? So I got someone to thank here. Contributions and support, non-taxable gifts from extended friends and family, because we don't do income here. Okay, by definition, we have no contracts. We're not beholden to anyone or anything beyond the truth and the passion for what we love to do, that we're formed to do. Okay, and by the way, Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk and the rest of them, they don't live that way. They never have and never will. They won't speak the truth at the whim of upsetting their sponsorships and their corporate masters. See, they're just like Donnie. The woman came here earlier and said, or no, she's on my Facebook earlier and said, Donnie can't tell the truth to everybody because then everybody's going to get upset and things are going to get testing and challenging. So then they're not servants of truth. There's no excuse. You're here to bear witness and testimony, presuming you have it. If you have it and won't talk it, then you're working for the deceiver while you put out all these little nuggets and pieces of information that are all triple hearsay. That's what creates the chaos, and that's what the statist, fascist, secret societies create order out of. Your chaos and repetitive deception. Okay? Please stop quoting these people like they're some kind of leading minds and hearts in their field. They're not. They're just the most convenient dupes of our time. They're the ones who have been chosen in and of the world to be part of the deception and the duping. And you folks apparently have been chosen to eat it all up and vomit it back out. But you can never make sense of it, right? Why are Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk and all the rest of them continuing to pay slave tax? The Pharaoh in Egypt who started taxation called people slaves because they had to give 10 to 20% of what they make every year to the kingdom. That was where the term slave originated from. 10 to 20% tax. Americans fought a 2% tax on tea. They denied it. They said, we will this far and no further. We will not comply and cooperate. How do you consider yourself godly when you don't serve two masters? That's the command. How do you consider yourself American? You're not. You're not godly. You're not American. You're a go along to get along, deceived, duped out slave who pays your share to build a beast system matrix and do war around the world for profit. And there's nothing righteous and graceful and merciful and holy about it because you're too fucking scared, right? You're too scared to come out in the open and stand up and stand for something and piss everybody off with the truth. I'm not, if you haven't noticed, because I got no strings to hold me down. I got no strings to make me frown. Forget the rest of it. I'm beholden to nobody and nothing except for the God within and the God without, and serving the truth as I see it. And when that changes, I change how I present it. Okay? And they're all out there. Charlie was just about to expose the state of Israel. Yeah, he was just about to do a lot of things. What we're wondering is why you folks don't come here into places like this and get with what I'm talking about and doing and generating results and contributing and supporting here. Why are you buying thousands of I Am Charlie shirts? The only white shirt he ever wore, coincidentally, was on the day he was killed. Synchronicity or coincidence? Who knows? Okay, so just in that, we prove who and what you all are, right? You're willing to buy all this crap and all this merchandise and give money to people and causes because they were just about to do what's true and what's right after they made $6 million. You know, like Erica Kirk, Miss Fundraiser, she needs $6 million and another $250,000 after the fact, right? While she wears Masonic rings and, you know, all the rest of it. Please spare me. If these folks had any God's will in them and any courage in their heart and any balls and orientation toward justice and service to truth, they will already have been left in the dust. Okay? Because again, it's another story of the Christed being in Scripture. It's archetypal. When you serve the truth and you do what's right, you're never going to get the adulation and the adoration of the masses. When you do what's true and what's right and you talk it, you piss everybody off on both sides, on all sides. Okay. And you have a few ardent supporters and contributors who are disciples, because the root word is discipline, disciple. They are disciplined and willful enough to resonate with the truth and not care about what the rest are doing and are a part of. Okay. So they walk with me, and me as I am that am, and the same thing that's in me is in them, and they know that's where the true power and value is, right? Go ahead, Ace Jones. I've been doing a lot of yapping here. They'll say preaching. Who knows what it all is? It might just be one big venting cope session for me as well. God help us.
All right. Well, so yeah. So I was thinking of which design would you like to go with for the shirts? That one?
Okay, so Ace has now contacted me again. Please understand, I'm not pushing for this. It's not on the forefront of my mind. He seems interested in this. He wants to do this. I'm open to potentially value coming in various forms. I haven't figured out how I want to do this. I'm not Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk and Candace Owens. I don't have millions of bucks to rest on, right? So I could use some more value while I live in the world, even if I'm not of it. But I haven't quite decided what I want to do here. I mean, we have a core group of supporters and contributors here. We may just go to, again, I'm going to ask you, Ace, please be candid with me and open and honest about what you're looking to get out of this, because I'm heavily leaning toward just going down the list of people who've already contributed, supported with regularity, and just giving this shit away to them. You know, and if it's indirect marketing and promotion for the broadcast and what we do here, which is more important than me, right? I am that am, and the truth revealed, then, you know, that's what we'll do. Okay.
Sure. Well, I already told you that, they're going to be made, and we're going to handle it the same way. And you handle it. You handle it on your side. Don't even trip.
Right, let's take a poll. Let's start there. You know, let's quote unquote do what they don't do anywhere else. Let's give the audience what they want or what they need. Because this is supposed to be about service, right?
Right.
To some extent. So let's see here. I'm going to pull up the box. You know what? I can do it from here. So go ahead, folks. You are now a part of the process here. I know I encourage people in my own way not to vote. This is one time that you will be forgiven for engaging in voting, right? Because you folks, whoever you are, potentially are going to be the ones who have to wear this stuff, right? And presuming you want to, right? Not have to, but presuming you want to, and it's something you like. That's the deal, right? So, yeah, I may just do a thing where, because you know, it would be nice to cover the costs at least. You know, it'd be nice for some value to come in for me, but I also can go to a space of faith. We may find a middle ground there. I may just say, hey, for anybody in the past, we'll set a timeline, 3 months or so. If you've contributed non-taxable events, you've gifted me because I'm just so pretty and cute online. I mean, that's obvious. Let's go to me again. There I am. Look how pretty and cute I am. So yeah, I think we're getting here on the fly. Proper instruction. I'm second on the list, man, of generalized searches. I have no search history saved, so it shows me like where I am on the list. I'm interestingly, if you put in proper, I'm second on the list there. That's pretty decent. Prison stories. I don't know how we got to there. Felice Johnson just popped up, as he calls himself, Felice. Okay. Bear with me here. You guys got anything else? Go ahead and call in if you got something, questions, comments, concern. 602-730-0122. The phone lines are open. So we're gonna take a poll here. No, not like that. Relax. For all you OnlyFansers, I'm not that pretty and cute. Besides, Luke, the guy who just left, he wouldn't like that. He would definitely view me as sinful if I took a poll in that manner. You get where I'm going. Family broadcast.
I wanted to mention something, Big Dog. Where it says on the gorilla one, where it says YouTube at Pimp and Slay, maybe put the white gorilla there. Just an idea.
Right. Why? Incredible. I have to do this through this now. Okay. It doesn't work on the phone for some reason. You know, YouTube, you guys got to get it together, man. And like, share, and subscribe. Okay. There's new folks here today, new algorithm. Boost the numbers up. You know, we need more traction here. It's only right. If they're going to stifle my movement at times and my traction and mess with my algorithm, you know, and not give subscribers notifications, you folks need to work extra hard there, right? That's the idea. So you're going to have to push this and promote it and move it along here and be part of the actual result, right? This is where truthers are sorely lacking. They don't ever contribute, support, or push what's important to them or what they find valuable, right? They just sit back. They smoke dope. They say they got all the answers. They hide. A lot of them hide. I did that for a while. You're out in the woods, kind of hiding, waiting for impending doom. No, you got to get involved. You got to contribute. You got to support in your own way. You got to push the product, quote unquote, right? Especially when we demonetized here because we didn't want beholden, not begotten, like Luke says, beholdens to these corporations and to their policies and ways. So I took a hit on $4K a month minimum in order to not have anything over my head, because I noticed when you're monetized, they try to tell you what to do more, right? So you don't have to necessarily contribute and support financially. I'm willing to forego all that, give everything up to be given everything back. You should promote what goes on here if there is power and value in truth. And if you believe or you know that folks could benefit from it, right? Especially when we do the legal lawful thing, right? I can yak, I can preach. The real power and value to me is, and you have to then decide that, is getting dragged into court because you don't comply with policies and codes, or because somebody wrote a book that found out that the average person commits 3 felonies a day. I think I used to say 4. It's actually 3. I looked back into it yesterday. So whether you all know it or not, the average person, based on a survey, commits 3 felonies a day. And then the book goes on to outline how, how this goes on, right? There's so many policies and codes that most folks are inadvertently criminals under that system, whether they know it or not, right? So yeah, I think that's very powerful and valuable, bringing people here to learn legal and lawful. So when we go to court, we get our rights and property rights recognized, and we get dismissals. And then that goes back up the chain to who's running the corporation to let them know, hey, we got a bunch of folks who can see now, and they're standing for what's right, and they're backing their rights and their property with an understanding, right? So we can no longer regulate them and legislate them. We're going to have to let them be free, and that's a great process to be part of. So I'm here now. I'm doing the poll. This is going to be your options for now. What do you prefer? And this is as far as shirt design goes. Like I said, I'm leaning toward just going down the list. Anybody who's contributed over, let's say, 30 pieces of 4-ply. If over the last 3 months you've contributed over 30 pieces of 4-ply, you're getting a shirt on the house, gratis. I'm not even going to expect you to necessarily cough up some value now, because you know what? I have faith in these people and the spirit within, that if you just show up for the truth and for yourself and for them, and you give what you got, that it all comes back some way, somehow in life, right? I've seen that in my own way. So I'm going with something that would be completely antithetical to who I've been in a past life, and that's probably what I need once again. What do you prefer? Shirt design, and then we have the yellow one. I'm not looking at it right now, so give me a descriptor so they'll be able to make a decision one way or the other. The yellow one with what on it? I can't see it, so speak it out to me, Ace.
Okay. So it says it's in old English fonts. It says gorilla season. In the middle, it has the gorilla, but it's all in black and white. With on the sides, it has the yin yang, right?
Right, but it's yellow, right? That's the main color, if I remember correctly. Okay.
Yeah, yellow. Like that, it'll stand out with the black, yeah?
And then the other one is green gorilla with the headset, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, with the headset, yes, sir.
Okay, and then I'm going to add a third option here, just because Unslavians are assholes, a lot like the host at times. God bless them and me. And none of the above we're going to do. Okay, so if they just all hate it, they don't want either, whether they already contributed or not, they're not going to wear it. It's a waste of everyone's time. They'd rather have a third option.
Okay, no problem.
So neither of them.
No problem.
And then I'm going to ask them to provide their own, design, right? Because you got some creative people out here, and if we have an overwhelming agreement that the Unslavians don't want either shirt and they're never going to wear it, they may have their own designs, their own kind of imagery that jumps out at them. But I like both of them. I'm going to go on record here right now. I like both of them, and I've already said to Ace, I think the answer here is much like Solomon back in one of the scriptures is cut it down the middle. I believe that was one of those allegories or one of those parables. However many you decide to make, that's on you. This is your endeavor. You want to be part of it. You told me in the past this is your way of giving back to the broadcast and contributing and supporting and being a part of something here, right? And I appreciate that. So maybe the best way to do it is however you were planning on making, you make equal amounts of one and the other, and then we get to folks to choose at the risk of adding more moving parts that make it more difficult for everyone and easier to fuck it up. Folks will get to choose. I will reach out to them or they will come here and I will call their name out. They will come to the podium, so to speak, and they will let me know they're wanting the green one, they're wanting the yellow one, right? There shouldn't be too many of them. I think last time you did this, there were 30 or so or whatever. I don't remember what it was, 30 or 50.
And I have a list of the people that got them too, so it'd make it easier too. Just shoot me the name, and then we'll go from there too. I have the address and stuff like that.
Go ahead and show them again because voting is underway. We're now in. Should we get some? Do we need some voting music? Possibly. Is that a thing? All right. You know what? I'm gonna leave that up. I want you to go back and forth and just show the different designs. And again, keep in mind that this is going to be on a shirt, so you're going to have to wear this around a slave mart and have people look at you and wonder what the F is that. Right now, I feel like you got Christians in the room. I can't even curse anymore. You know what's left? What else do I have to give up in this life? Not only being obese, but cursing like a sailor. You know, they won't hang around long. They won't love me. I don't believe that. I believe Luke and the other Christians will love me, even if I am obese and obnoxious. You know, that's the kind of heart that these people have. They're very loving and forgiving. They say, that's just Paulie boy. He'll get it or he won't, you know. Bless his soul. All right, let me thank some people here. Like Oprah. Jimmy Shively, you get a shirt. Scott, you get a shirt. Pedro, you get a shirt. Those are 3 folks getting a shirt right off the bat. Lee is going to get one. You know what? I saw Jackie Fox back here today after saying some less than savory things about me. They might be true though. I won't deny it. But she seems to be back and in a good sort of humor and somewhat repentant and forgiving of me and my mistakes. And maybe, even though she hasn't contributed and supported in a long time, she was with regularity at one point. So maybe we give her a shirt too. Why the hell not? You know?
Right on.
Okay. Let me just do this here. I want to give these folks some recognition. We got Scott. We got Michelle C. Michelle C. puts a fire symbol, meaning the broadcast is fire. Fire broadcast, bro. Scott says for fire stream. There's the synchronicity. Neither of them know each other, but they're both commenting the same thing. That's good to see. That means I'm doing what I'm called to do here, what I love to do. I'm formed to do. This is it, folks. Get a load of it. This is all that this is the only thing I can do and know how to do. Right. Beyond this, I just go sit in the corner and wait. Jimmy Shabley. Jimmy Shively, as has been said in the past, there was a whole thing going on, if you remember. For appreciate you and all you do, sir. Thank you, Mr. Shively says. Well, thank you, Mr. Shively. And we got Christian D, who I believe is Emmanuel. And he has a shirt symbol. So he's obviously interested in the shirt idea. So thank you, folks. Non-taxable gifts from extended friends and family. Non-income based. No contracts. No stipulations. Free trade, if you will. Not even trade. I offer you nothing. My offer is this. The senators of YouTube in the audience, nothing other than what I am already being and doing and giving. At least I'm honest with you folks. I'm fair and I'm honest, unlike Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk and all the rest of them. They keep trying to sell you a dream. Okay. let's check in on the poll. We'll double check on the poll. Then I'm going to head over. We got at least a half hour left. I might go long here. I have before. We know that's something that I do, especially since I haven't been showing up beyond every 4 or 5 days or so. All right, let me check that. Let's see where we're at so far on the poll. We got almost 50 votes coming in so far. Yellow one, 32%. Green Gorilla Headset, 36%. And neither of them. Okay. And for all you procrastinating, lazy, hydrophobic hemophiliacs out there who just want to be obstinate and defiant, please understand that when you voted for neither of them, there was a prerequisite that you have to provide your own design. And that might be hard for a lot of you because you're not very creative people. Okay. Nobody knows more about being creative than I do. Okay. So I would know. So yeah, if you're going to vote for that, neither of them, please email me a design. You now have to take part in co-creating an outcome here. So yeah, we're pretty much right down the middle on that one. 30, 30, 35, 35, 31. Pretty evenly dispersed. All right, let's go to a blast from the past. Malcolm X gives us some advice on who or what is running this whole thing, it seems. Hold on.
Many of the things that I've read about you, and you've made it mention a couple of times about the Jews and everything, and I'm wondering if you are personally anti-Semitic.
No. How can I be anti-Semitic when the Arabs are half the Muslim world is Semitic? If I was anti-Semitic, I'd be anti-Arab and anti-everything else. No, I think that in this country, there's one mistake that the Jews make. They put themselves in a position where whenever anybody gives an objective analysis of the role that they play, they defend themselves by accusing you of being anti-Semitic. And a Negro is not anti-Semitic when he says that the man who's exploiting him in his community is white, because it is a white man who owns all the stores. Now, is it an accident that these whites who own these stores are Jewish? If it's an accident, then the fact that he says the Jew on the corner is exploiting me isn't an anti-Semitic statement. It's just more descriptive of the man who's exploiting him.
Are you anti-Semitic?
Anti-Semitic.
Interesting that they've been using the same words and terms in the same way for the same types of people, pointing out the same types of connections, so to speak. So we're going to move right along here quick. Lightning round. Stokies can book 11th COVID jab now. How to get yours. Appointments are now available for the 11th round of coronavirus boosters, folks. Make sure you get that for safety. Now, some of you might ask, what's the point of having a vaccine if you need 10 more booster shots on top of it in order to make it work? And that's 10 and counting, right? I got a feeling you're going to be vaxxing in perpetuity. So at some point you'll say, man, that COVID vax was great. It really protected me. I only needed 500 boosters after the fact to make sure that it was working up to par, right? Really got to boost that energy and that power. Appointments are now available. 11th round of coronavirus jabs. The latest booster is open to over 75s. So I believe that's a centenarian, if I have that correct. So if you're over 75 and you want to boost ad infinitum, the time is right for you. Not only is it open to 75s and above, care, home, residents, patients, and folks with weakened immune systems. Come on down. You know what, Ace? I'm thinking about, and no response needed from you. I'm mulling this over right now. If you got a response, you can give it. I'm mulling this over. Forget about the shirts, man. Forget about it. We need boosters here at Unslavia. That's what the people want. That's what they need. That's where safety and empowerment is found. Please provide me on the next broadcast a overhauled design of our new booster. Okay? I want a big needle that has all 10 boosters shoved into the barrel, so you can just take it all at once for safety. And I want a design for that booster shot, right? And maybe we have a shirt that goes with the shot. So you take all 10 at once, and then a shirt that says, I survived my 11th booster, you know? And then it's just a white gorilla with a booster shot, just jamming it right in your... Am I not supposed to be doing this? I got to call Luke. I got to get Luke on the line. Luke, is it okay? Am I reviled? Am I in detriment or in judgment by pointing out and mocking the blasphemy and just the heresy and hypocrisy? Does that make me bad and wrong as well? Because if it does, there's no more broadcast. I got to tell you, potentially, we're done broadcasting, because I wouldn't know how to do this. I wouldn't know how to cover the slave news and not just mock it incessantly and just point out how it's one big humiliation ritual, and potentially one big mass sacrifice event. Right? Molech and Mammon is busy nowadays. From the beginning of time. Sorry, it's not just nowadays. It's like beginning of time, end of time. Latest round of COVID jabs are been available since the 1st of October. Flu vaxes are also available. Make sure you get them both in tandem. Like you kind of switch off. Little booster, little seasonal flu vax. By the way, Donnie got a booster and a seasonal flu vax, if you believe the sources this week. While they tell me on Facebook that he's saving everyone from themselves. It comes as 2 COVID variants are currently sweeping the UK, XFG and NB 1.8.1. I wonder what wet lab they crawled out of or were allowed to escape from. The variants are also known as Stratus and Nimbus. Bet you if we look up those names, we're going to get some details on more mockery and blasphemy rituals. Go ahead and look up Stratus and Nimbus and go to the etymology and see what it says and what god it's tied to. And I would bet anything you're going to find yourself a mockery humiliation ritual tucked right in there. Sweet little ritual tucked right in. It's like one of those old candies they gave you on the way out of the diner. It's got a pretty little wrapping on it. You open it up, and beyond the hard candy shell is a nougat of slavery. Roz Lindred, NHS England director with responsibility for vaxes in the Midlands, said, "The threat from getting seriously ill from flu and COVID-19 is all too real, and each year we see hundreds of thousands of people hospitalized due to these nasty viruses. These are nasty viruses, very nasty. Nobody knows more about them than I do, especially across the winter months. Vaccination is our best defense against these viruses and can be life-saving. So I would urge mums-to-be, parents of young children and teens and others who are eligible to come on down and book appointments for their jabs as soon as possible to help protect themselves and their loved ones." Isn't that special? They're free too. Something is powerful and valuable when they're willing to give it out at every place that they poison your food and water for absolutely free, gratis, on the house. Doesn't get any better than that, people. They're doing the Lord's work too. Flu and COVID vaccines are free to those at great risk, and teams across the country are working hard to make it as quick and easy as possible to get them via local GP practices, pharmacies, in schools, and other community clinics. So please do book an appointment today. It could keep you out of the hospital this winter. Coming this winter. What happens when the world takes an 11th booster? Find out. Let's move along here. Tennessee man arrested, $2 million bond for posting a Facebook meme. Why the hell not? After the murder of conservative activist Charlie K. You're all familiar with that, of course, because they wouldn't let you not be. In September, many of the political right set out to punish anyone making light of tragedy or even simply being insufficiently upset. In one of the more brazen examples, a Tennessee man was arrested accused of threatening a school shooting and held on a $2 million bond for posting a somewhat uncivil meme on Facebook. Notice how they're claiming first they said it was for a meme, then they said he threatened a school shooting, then they went back to he's memeing. Uncivil meme, see? So more and more we're being pushed toward this reality where when you use free speech and say something uncivil that we all don't like, that is against official narrative, we're going to criminalize you. Larry Bushart, guess, we won't go there. Larry Bushart, a 61-year-old former police officer, posted the offending meme last month. In response to a Facebook post about an upcoming vigil for Kirk, Bushart shared an image of President Donald Trump with the quote, "We have to get over it." Man, that's offensive. Lock them up. Trump said this back 2024 after a shooting at Iowa's Perry High School. Text added the image said, "This seems relevant today." So he wasn't threatening a school shooting. He was claiming that a school shooting and what surrounded it was relevant still to now because there's overarching themes here. But again, meme, offensive, not part of the official narrative. Lock them up. Because that's what statism and fascism is all about. And I've been playing the videos from New Zealand and Australia and all the other places over the past 6 months. Nobody knows more about Satanism and fascism than I do. Okay. We're going to keep pointing out how much these folks are winning. They're winning so much that it's like the winning will never stop, as Donnie once said. Moving right along here. We're making good time. Let you hear it from the man himself. Nobody knows more about everything than Donnie Trump. That's a fact. How do we know that's a fact? Because he said it.
Nobody knows this stuff better than me.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do, and income than I do.
Nobody knows more about construction than I do.
Nobody knows more about campaign finance than I do.
I know more about drones than anybody.
Nobody knows much more about technology, this type of technology, certainly, than I do.
Nobody knows more about technology than me.
Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me.
I know more about ISIS than the generals do, believe me. I understand things. I comprehend very well, okay? Better than, I think, almost anybody.
And by the way, who knew the other side of the picture better than me? I knew it.
Nobody knows more about environmental impact statements than me. I understand the power of Facebook, maybe better than almost anybody. I know more about renewables than any human being on Earth. Nobody knows more about polls than me.
I know more about courts than any human being on Earth.
I know more about steelworkers than anybody that's ever run for office.
I know more about golf than Obama knows.
Nobody knows more about banks than I do. Nobody knows more about trade than me. Well, obviously, he doesn't know about nuclear weapons. I know more about nuclear weapons than he'll ever know.
I understand the tax laws better than almost anyone.
Who knows more about lawsuits than I do? I'm the king. I know more about offense and defense than they will ever understand.
And nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation.
I understand money better than anybody. I understand the system better than anybody. Nobody knows more about debt than I do.
Nobody knows the game better than me.
I know more about contributions than anybody.
And who knows more about the word apprentice than Donald Trump?
I understand politicians better than anybody. Nobody knows politicians better than me.
Who knows the other side better than me?
Who knows the other side better than me?
I think I know more about the other side than almost anybody.
And I understand the other side. Perhaps I understand it better than anybody else. I was the fair-haired boy. Nobody knows more about it than me. I know more than these politicians. These guys don't know anything.
I know a lot. I know more than I'm ever going to tell you.
Right.
The truth is I'm actually a modest person. Very modest. It's true.
Right. Amazing that the same people who call me arrogant and narcissistic support this guy as half the time I'm doing the bit non-bit of mocking the human ego and ignorance and arrogance, right? Like when I play up that, hey, I know everything, what I'm saying has to be right in the moment. I'm doing the thing, right? Or I'm playing it up. And then I come back to a centric balanced point and I go, oh yeah, that's we look back at it, right? It's a fascinating case study. So when I do it though, they go, man, this is so tacky, and obnoxious. I go, no, I'm having fun with it. I'm doing the bit non-bit. I'm doing like they do. Trying it on for size, Why I was voted God of all media 2023. Now, of course, I fixed that election. Nobody knows more about fixed elections than I do. Okay. But I can tell you this. If I didn't fix that election, you'd have been left with everyone else. Okay. Donnie just said that the last couple of weeks. He actually said, we fixed an election and we had to, because if not, you'd have been left with Sleepy Joe. Okay. And America would have suffered. If I didn't fix that election and name myself God of all media, you folks would be stuck with every other person. Not nice people, not good, these people. So yeah, again, we're all doing the Lord's work here constantly, completely, at all times, all places. There's no denying it. There's no doubt about it. Trumpy, Big Daddy Don, gets a COVID vax and a flu shot during second checkup of the year, and he's QAnon'd out, right? He's just got to pretend to keep getting the 11th boosters and all the seasonal vaxes because he's really tricking everyone into accepting rights and freedom and living from principles and spiritual faith, right? He's got to do what he's doing because if not, everyone will get upset, The White House released a memo Friday. Oh, hold on, The White House released a memo Friday from President Donald Trump's physician summarizing his visit to Walter Reed Army Medical Center earlier in the day, which included a COVID vaccine booster and a flu shot. Okay. Trump's doctor Sean P. Barbarella said in the one-page document that Trump remains in exceptional health, exhibiting strong cardiovascular, pulmonary, neurological, and physical performance. It also says that Donald Trump is, quote, capable of a powerful erection here. Oh, I just threw that in. I added that in. I'm kidding. They may as well just add that in. It's equally ridiculous. And you know how he got that way? By eating McDonald's all day, every day. There's no doubt about it. Trump's visit to Walter Reed Friday was described in a memo as a scheduled follow-up. Blah, blah, blah. Goes on and on. It goes on and on and on. The bottom line is the news outlets, who knows if any of them can be trusted? They're all lying. They're all deceiving. They're all manipulating. But I wouldn't doubt it. Either Donnie took it or he wants you to believe he took it. Either way, same outcome. He's influencer, non-influencer. Bottom line here. I'm interested to see what you Q-tards on Facebook are going to cope and make up excuses for this time. Fox, Donald Trump admits coronavirus vaccines are safe and encourages viewers to get one. Little blast from the past, And again, just please understand when I play this clip of him saying it that he said it, but he didn't say it. Because he doesn't really believe it. He's just saying it so the other side won't get mad at him and stop all the great winning and freedom stuff he's doing, okay? This is their logic. We went over it earlier.
So, Mr. President, I know that you received the vaccine. Mrs. Trump also got the vaccine. Would you recommend to our audience that they get the vaccine then?
I would recommend it, and I would recommend it to a lot of people that don't want to get it, and a lot of those people voted for me, frankly. But, again, we have our freedoms, and we have to live by that, and I agree with that also. But it's a great vaccine. It's a safe vaccine, and it's something that works. And we've been working round the clock, and what I got the FDA to do, this would have happened. This would have happened in many, many years from now if I didn't get involved and if we didn't get involved.
Right. And that's the cope trope every single time. Well, we had to do it. We had to go along with statism and fascism. If we didn't and control it, it would have been way worse. If you're going to do statism and fascism, you have to let me control it. If not, it gets really out of hand. We care about you. Right. And they'll repeat it on Facebook and say, well, he said, that's what he said. He said that he did the fascism and statism, but he gave a caveat and he has to control it because if he doesn't, the left will control it and then it'll get really bad. By the way, I'm making memes now, okay? And I made one just yesterday. It's rather lengthy. Let's go over it because it's fun. Because I'm having fun making memes now. So it's this format, right? You guys may be familiar with this format. A little clown, a little... That's the average citizen slave, by the way. The average status fascist citizen slave who's completely cucked out, gelded, and disempowered. So it goes, one square to the next, as by the end of it, the guy's in full clown makeup, full gear, right? So I'll just do first, second, third, fourth square. First square, voting for one of two presidents of a corporation gets me more rights while they use code to run my life. Throw on the white face. Here comes the red lips and the blue eyes. Believing my side is doing their best and the other side is always wrong. There it is. Get the hair ready. We got to get the hair right in place. Third square. Making the same excuses the other side makes as everything gets predictably worse. Okay. And then the final square right there where everything's perfectly in place and in position is saying, quote, it could have been worse because the other side could have won. Notice how the meme adequately describes that both sides do the exact same thing for the exact same reasons as everything predictably gets worse for the exact same reasons, the exact same way. It's fascinating how that works, isn't it? It's called playing both sides against the middle. See that? You guys seeing that? Anyone seeing that? Okay. They're seeing it. Nobody knows more about being a clown than me. There's no denying it. Jews love foreskin. Okay, I'm going to help you out because we don't need cycling and spinning and repeating here. I do that. The only cycling, spinning, and looping here is me. I do that. You don't get to do that. Nobody knows more about that than I do. All Donnie met and knew all the big stars except Elvis. Never met Elvis. Okay. But I'm sure Donnie knows more about playing guitar and shaking hips than probably anyone, including Elvis. Seems to be a running theme here. Ceasefire takes effect after first phase of Trump's peace plan approved. Right. This is great too. You get on Facebook and all the Republicards, the Patriotards are yelling, see, our daddy made peace. He did that after he signed on to a 33 year campaign of claiming Iran's going to bomb us anytime now with Bibi. That's not his real name. And even saying, you got to ask Bibi. He's in charge of all this. Okay. So they literally blew everything else up, took it, and then said, we're brokering a peace deal. Nobody knows more about peace than I do. And you folks ate it right up and vomited it back out. You don't get points for your side and your technotard-crat, your technocrat tard, right, who knows more about technology than anyone. You don't get points for supporting one of two parties who both are for war and expansionism for the centralized bankers who blow shit up and then blame other people and then come in on the back end, settle it, colonize it, and claim they brought peace. That's not how that works. Okay? It's literally equivalent to me walking into a woman I'm dating's house, punching her in the face, taking her pots and pans, leaving, and then coming back and going, okay, now I'm done. Let's broker some peace. And then she goes, okay, I guess I'll let you punch me in the face, take all my pots and pans, and even like make this your house, right? I forgot. I come back and I rename it. I go, this is my house now. So I don't even need to take the pots and pans. I just rename the place my house. So better simulation. I come in, I punch the woman I'm dating with in the face who has her own house. I call the place my house, and then I put a peace deal document on the counter. She signs it, and then I go around telling all my friends and family that I'm really great at peace brokering. And it's like, no, you just stop doing complete dysfunction and evil. And now you want to claim that you're the Prince of Peace, right? Not how that works for everyone keeping score at home, for everyone actually in reality keeping track, right? Don't tell that to these patriotards and status. So first stages of the peace program, they're even lying in the thing by obfuscating, lying by obfuscation and omission. So the first round of peace deals is happening while they continue to blow shit up, blame it on people, and say they're doing it to stop terror. Where have we seen and heard that before? You know, the old weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that we never found because they didn't exist. You know, the turkey farm and the mustard gas. Georgie Boy was famously quoted saying, as he laughed and giggled about it. So, yeah, I'm not even going to get into it. It's all bullshit. We know that. But we also know that Trump is allowing Qatar to build a military facility on the U.S. now. In the middle of peace talks and agreements, we're doing more business deals. So maybe like he gets a few $billion or a few $100 million, and then he allows other countries to open up military bases on the land known as America that they keep calling United States. Isn't that interesting? Quickly here, because we're going to move along and try to get to all these, and I don't want to overextend. According to the plan, the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, another competent, capable, normal-looking guy, right? Doesn't look evil and bizarre at all. Very, very warm and fuzzy feeling you get when you look at these people and deal with them. And he announced Friday, Idaho's Mountain Home Air Base will soon house a site for Qatar's Amiri Air Force pilots to train on F-15 jets. Wonder how that could go wrong. Angered some MAGA supporters. They don't trust the Qatari government and who wrongly believed Qatar was building its own base in the U.S. I don't know what that means. They literally just said one thing and then denied it in the next sentence. Today, we're announcing a letter of acceptance in building a Qatari Emory Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho. Nothing to see here, I'm sure. Just some more business deals Donnie's doing to get this country, non-country out of debt immediately. I can feel and hear the freedom bells ringing. I can feel the vibrations and I can hear the sound off in the distance. Any day now. You know what else Donnie's been doing in between brokering peace deals after he's abusing and neglecting? and destroying and killing and stealing. He's promoting watches, folks. You won't believe this. During a government / corporation, because it's not the government, it's not a lawful government, it's United States corporation. During a corporation shutdown, Donnie's primary focus is taking money to build air bases with foreign peoples to make America great again. My movement is MASA, if you like it. Ace, next idea. Red hat, please. MASA on the side, MASA, like master, MASA. Hopefully people get that. It's a pretty clever audience here. MASA on the side, 666 on the other side, and then make America slaved again. Right? Because I like my slavery up close and personal. I like it down and dirty, raw and real. What's with all this corporatism, fascism, policy and code corporations? No, I want plantations again. I want white guy up at the house on the porch. I want slaves in the field being called slaves, right? Enough of this Republican Democrat garbage. You're just fucking slaves. Get out in the field, work for daddy, give them back all of what you make or a large portion of it and say, thank you. Can I have another? Right. And whatever you get left with benefits and privileges, you're fucking lucky to have that. You're lucky these people even allow you to live. Our best people are working on that. Nobody knows more about genocide than I do. Okay. So that's a perfect idea. Ace is nodding his head in agreement. He wants massa hats. He wants to make America slaved out again. We're going that way anyway. Why not capitalize off of this movement? So let's go to Donnie. Go to Donnie and his watch collection now. For all of you who bought his sneakers and bought his crypto coin and bought every other piece of crap that this guy comes out with that is ultimately way overpriced and underdelivered when it comes to quality and functionality, we're on to the newest endeavor. Trump promotes a $500 watch. And you know what he's using to promote it? The event where he got shot in the ear. He got shot, non-shot in the ear, where there was no remnant of it. There was no evidence like 3 days later after the big, bandage over the whole face. So it's the fight watch collection. You remember where they stopped for like 15 seconds and he started telling the audience fight while he was supposedly being shot at, as if we believe any of this crap. But they do. They believe it. They love it. They want more. And they want to watch to commemorate the occasion, right? So, very savvy marketing here. It's not like they set it up and did this for publicity, right? Life gives you lemons and a busted ear. You make lemonade and you sell watches.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. Please make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Nobody knows more about large genitals than I do. And if you know me, you know I have the largest. Ask Stormy. Okay? So I'm going to be wearing the new fight watch on my own genitals. All right? Because we're making America slaved again. Go ahead, get your fight watch now. Only $500 for the fight watch. And you too can be a part of not only making history, but making America slaved again. All right, cut it. We got what we need. Let's move on. God, I'm a genius. Nobody knows commercials like I do. I grew up on them. Florida man arrested on federal criminal complaint alleging he maliciously started what became the Palisades fire. And when you look at this guy's picture, it just screams Patsy. But you know me, I love to question and speculate. It's fun. I love to fantasize. Keeps me excited. Keeps me young. So yeah, I'm not even going to go too much into that article. They're claiming now that, and it's interesting because they said first it was wildfires. Paulie Boy said he doesn't believe it's wildfires. He thinks people are starting the fires. Shut up, Paulie Boy. You're a conspiracy theorist. Till you're not. Till they drag some guy out of the woodwork who looks like he's barely awake. And they now say he started the Palisades fire that led to close to 7,000 buildings being destroyed. Coincidentally, on the same tracking as the smart city plans and the superhighway that's going to go nationwide and intercontinental, supposedly. There's a map there. It corresponds. It's another coincidence, right? But we got him. We got the guy who did the wildfires that weren't wildfires, and it's one lone guy, and you know, we couldn't put the fires out. We didn't have any water left, is what they claimed on LA. So we'd have loved to put the fires out. Started by this guy. We didn't have any water. It's a tragedy. Yeah. If you believe that, as they always like to say, the old joke goes, I built a bridge from New Jersey to Manhattan. If you'd like to invest in it, you know, I could use some more investors. All right, we may have to. All I'm learning here is we may have to come up with more merch. We may need a watch now. Maybe we merchandise a fire extinguisher for the 7,000 buildings that might get set on fire next by some guy who looks like a fentanyl addict. You know, the homeless fentanyl addict who behind the Walmart. He did it all, and in order to stop it in the future, I need to come up with an acronym. I got MASA, I got MAGA. I'm gonna sleep on this. I'm gonna meditate on this and sleep on this. Tomorrow I'll be back with an acronym, or in 4 days or so. I'll be back with an acronym, and we will have fire extinguishers with a catchphrase on them. You know, like the fight watch. He's got watches. We have fire extinguishers for the wild/non-wild fires that are being set. This way you guys can feel like safer and more free. You know, if one of these fentanyl addicts starts a fire, you'll be able to put it out with your fire extinguisher. I like the acronym I just got to figure out how to work it in. What does it stand for? Supreme Court's recent decision has signified implications of the regulation of wastewater discharge in the United States. They just overturned a code that they like to call a law, allowing, on New York especially, more and more people to dump poisons into the water. That's what they're doing to keep you nice and safe. In between putting up 5G towers to radiate you that give the kids cancer at the school, we have that story. Okay, that's a very old story, still relevant. Watch out, though. The Facebook police might come for you if you tell that one. If you tell it the wrong way. But yeah, just this week, taking the protections off to keep everybody safe. Hey, the companies are allowed to dump more poisons into the waterways on New York and other places, right? We don't have enough. The autism, the cancer rates, and all the rest of it skyrocketing 1,000%. Give us more, they say. They want more. They need more. Good thing we got these people in place to keep us fucking safe, huh? Right. All right, we're moving quickly here. We got Billy Boy and his vax. I've been meaning to get to it. I haven't gotten to it. I keep putting it off. Why the hell not? Give us some Billy. I love Billy, man. He's got a certain energy about him. Reinvigorates me.
In a way that's new and is promising is called the RNA vaccine. With RNA and DNA, instead of putting that shape in, you put instructions in the code to make that shape. You put instructions in the code to make that shape.
Everything that I'm about to mention is currently being developed by Bill Gates, often in partnership with the CV19 Playbook, MIT, all of which is backed by the United Nations and the Rockefeller Foundation. Due to ongoing mutations with CV19, the CV vaccine currently being developed will alter our DNA through an actual synthesizing of our individual genetic code using mRNA and CRISPR technology, which acts as scissors by cutting DNA at a designated spot and removing or inserting a new sequence with an artificial code to make sure every man, woman, and child complies with the One World Order's mandatory implementations. Gates and MIT are currently developing the Human Implantable Quantum Dot Microneedle Vaccination Delivery System. It's a tattoo for the hand, which will include our identification mark and vaccination records. It needs an enzyme called luciferase in order to make it work. The transhumanist agent on every person.
All right, so I didn't know what it was. We watched it together. That's kind of old news at this point, but hey, an oldie but a goodie, right? On the hit parade. Nothing like Uncle Billy toiling away in his workshop to keep us all safe. Nothing like that to elicit a warm and fuzzy response. You know what? I think I'm going to hold off there. No matter how many times I plan on getting to a lot of the rest of these, I never get there. And I guess it's a good problem to have. Fill time went pretty quick. We're already coming up on 3.5 hours. I feel rather complete an hour in completion because this story, right, and this life for us individually and collectively ain't over yet. Always more to experience, always more to see and know, always more to be revealed. Ace, do you got a final word for these folks or a question, comment, concern, anything before we get the hell out of here?
That's it, man. I got some couple more ideas, but yeah, they're gonna get done. These shirts, some of them, yeah.
We got to get back to that. The poll, you're right. You just reminded me. Final recap on the poll. We got almost 100 votes. Okay. Yellow one, we got 26%. Green Gorilla Headset, 24%. And 49% say neither of them.
All right.
Okay. But we can't necessarily trust that 49% because we know there's at least 10 loser failures who hang around here who have like 10 to 20 accounts each, and they will waste their time to log into all of them to just vote for the third option to try to demean and devalue or to change the energy and the spirit behind whatever we're doing, right? So I would argue that there's a likelihood that that's what's going on, right? So all that we really found out, and again, I don't mean to reveal myself here, but part of the reason I gave a third option was to watch a lot of you folks who we know who you are do what you did, right? And then the rest kind of speaks for itself. So like I figured, it's about split even. Folks, half the folks are liking one, half the folks are liking the other. I'd say however many you want to make and give away, just do half and half. Right.
Sure.
And then, I'll probably keep one of each because I still wear my I'm a slave shirt. If nothing else, hey, the audience can go fuck themselves at the end of the day. If it comes down to I like the shirt. I wear it regularly. I walk into Slave Mart. It says you're a slave on it. People give me the look. I had a guy who came up to me. He goes, I'm not a slave. You're a slave. And then he started laughing and we got into it. It sparked a conversation. Right.
Yep.
So I'm into it, man. I may just take all the shirts and keep them all for myself. What do you all think about that?
I kept a few the last time. Yeah. Shit. Yeah.
Right.
Brand new shirt all the time. Shit.
Yeah. They're pretty decent shirts too, right? They're pretty decent quality. Yeah. They hold up even through the washing machine. The logo stays decent. And hey, if nothing else, man, it's an interesting kind of entertaining and exciting thing to be a part of at times, right? It doesn't get old either.
I'll leave it at that then, Doug. Big Dog.
We may have to also, Ace, come up with maybe some kind of tagline or some kind of phrase either on the front or the back that gets people talking, right? Mm-hmm. Gets them sort of shaken up a little bit. So, let me think on that. Let me meditate on that and see if we could come up with something. Although it doesn't have to be that. I think that I and you and this audience would prefer to have something that kind of calls us all out, right? And calls us back to a certain idea, right? Shakes things up a little bit in unslavian fashion, gets the people talking, right?
Yep. That's the thing. That's the key word. All right, Big Dog. Then we'll keep in touch.
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Like.
Thank you, sir. All right, so shirts underway in the making. I'm going to go over my list of contributors and supporters, extended friends and family, as it were, who gift and engage with non-taxable events. And however many that we wind up coming up with, I will go back over the log and I will give them out to you folks. And that may change, right? I may come here tomorrow and go, you're not getting anything. But that's kind of what my sentiment has been for a while. Ace has brought it up here and there. And why not, man? We're not going to come from a place of lack, loss, abandonment, or the need to profiteer. These folks are good people here. They do what's right. They contribute and support in various ways. Why not give something back to them every once in a while? Especially when Ace is taking the majority, if not all of the obligation on himself. To put the time, energy, attention, and various forms of resources in to produce something. So, why the hell not? That's where I'm at today. I'm in a very magnanimous state today. feeling very faithful and giving and honorable. And again, that may change tomorrow. So keep me honest. Just remind me of what I said, and that'll pull me back from the brink. Hopefully, faithfully. Final words from the audience. Anything? I want one with your face, please. No one wants that. You're the only one who wants that. Can't say no one, but you're the only one who wants a shirt with my face on it. It's not necessarily a big seller, I don't think. You never know, though, I guess. But yeah, I like the You're a Slave shirt. I really like that. Like the logo's cool. Ace is a good artist. It's kind of interesting and inspiring for me. And it's decent artwork. It's good imagery. But sometimes I like to keep it simple, straightforward. A punch in the face. That's what the shirt is metaphorically. The I'm a Slave shirt. Now watch me walk away with the channel branding on the back for promotion and marketing. I kind of like that. I like to keep it simple and straightforward and shake things up a bit. So go ahead and email me. Or next time we get back here, if you want to throw it in the chat, if you got a tagline or a catchphrase that you want to put on the front of the back of the shirt, just to kind of give the people at Slave Mart a punch in the face and shake things up. And if not, I'm pretty good at that, if you haven't noticed. So I'll do my due diligence on my end. There's one thing you can count on me for, it's that. All right. Back in 4 or 5 days, God willing, God of all media willing as well, right? If I'm feeling inspired and co-creative and wanting to come here and serve in my own way, or just entertain you folks, or just show up for myself and you guys and be a part of what we got going on here, right? So, yeah, thankful and grateful and blessed. There's no denying that. Faithfully, you folks are too. Paul Unfuckwittable on the way out, of course, from the amazing, wonderful, the great man known as Gorilla Gems. Nobody knows more about clips than he does. Ciao. I'm somebody who I've not complied. I've not cooperated. I've been arrested over and over again, right? I've had to go to court without an attorney, with no credentials, and stand on what I believe to be the word of God and the truth. And I've gotten results. Tends to be when I meet people who talk about this what I consider to be false ideology of patriotism they've been uploaded with. Usually these are the same folks who tell me we're very courageous, we want to save the children, we're going to be idols and heroes, but they're not willing to sacrifice and go to jail and be activists and potentially have to sacrifice and give everything up to be given everything back. You all live in a matrix reality world where law comes from a contract, social contract. As far as I perceive it, God makes law, and the contract is a trust in God. That's why it's in God we trust. Law is not the same as statute, policy, and code, and law doesn't come about because we made some social pact and agreement. This is precisely my point. This clarifies the fundamental difference between us. And these folks are within an illusion, within an illusion, within an illusion, and can't recognize the illusion of self and creation for what it is, because it seems too far out and too crazy to them to be real.
We need to give up certain rights for the greater good of the whole, because that's what a communal society does. That's what the Constitution is. We give up certain rights in order to be able to live peacefully amongst a communal society.
So he can't even fundamentally determine what a right is, just in the sense of right action, right? If there's rights, then there's wrongs. So in his world, not having a connection to God / conscience locally, that's a good term for the clinical folks, conscience, him and others being conscienceless beings have to always refer to paperwork and don't know the difference objectively between right and wrong. And that's why they can't figure out what God is, or have the experience of God, or be trusting with equity and faith, right? They don't know common sense. They don't know the common law, because they think law comes from us all sitting around together and making agreements that we had a right yesterday to kill and rape, but today we're going to give up that right. Because in this new society, raping and killing is not wrong. It's either right or it's wrong. It's either true or it's false. Us laying eyes on it doesn't necessarily, or agreeing to it, change what is. And this is the fundamental difference between us. I work with what is, even if it can't be shown. and I talk to cause and effect, and I reverse engineer that. And this is why I can't debate with or get through to these folks who can't consider this idea of a godly experience or a universal order.
You must give up certain rights, your right to kill, or your right to assault, or your right to steal, or your assault, or your right to rape.
He did even more. See, they say I lie and I bullshit here. I only said 2. He gave 5 examples of wrong behaviors he thinks we naturally have a right to do.
Skibbity bop watch your step now. Jump back, catch the law. Just the other day I was watching the chat. Half the slaves was talking about they homeboy Jack. Did you see what he said? OMG, what'd he say? OMG, I'll have to tell you I was watching all day. Those cupcake motherfuck turds don't know how to be free. If they only knew the law, they could see what I see. I know the law really well, cause I read UCC. If I was a life coach, listen to me. That's you, caught in the drift, waiting for a sign, looking for a leader that you can't define. That's you, stuck in an echo, never breaking free. You follow the current, but you don't even see. Skibbity bop. The other night, dude was talking real bold, dropping terms like sovereign and common law gold. Nah, bro, see, I got the docs right here. I just ain't filed yet. It's the wrong time of year. Trust me, I've studied it. I know what to do. But the county clerk's shady and the judge is a Jew. I'm just waiting till it's safe and I know I'll get paid. Maybe when Saturn is back in retrograde. Besides, I gotta stay low for a while. They're watching IPs and I got a profile. Anyway, I'm working on phase 1 of the plan. He went quiet when asked you ever stood as a man. That's you, caught in the drift, waiting for a sign, looking for a leader that you can't define. That's you, stuck in an echo, never breaking free. You follow the current, but you don't even see. Skibbity bop. Like he owned the place, typing all caps with the crooked face. Oh great, more soft sit clown shit here. Where's the tinfoil clowns and the flat earth quiz? Let me guess, you don't pay taxes. You should be arrested, a criminal felon who didn't get his vaxes. I'm telling you, I know the law better than you. I read the USC, my lawyer knows what to do.
What I want to know is, why are you free? That, and please tell me what you're offering me. He's a fed, he's a fraud, he's broke, he's a broke. He probably lives in a pod, he's Illuminati. Nah, he's just fake. I could do it better if I caught a break. They're all in on it, it's a psyop feed. Anyone got a link to the doc I need? That's you, caught in the drift, waiting for a sign, looking for a leader that you can't define. That's you, stuck in an echo, never breaking free. You follow the current, but you don't even see. Skibbity bop bop.
following I thought was me. Skippity bop bop. Bad why. Skippity bop bop. Bad why.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I want to help you. I want to help you live the life you want to love.